Oh, yay! Say hi to Kira for me, Cyberquaker. All right, I'm gonna pop on. Hello! Hello, everybody. I hope you're all doing well. Hello, Mary Mello, Adrenaline. There's so many people. I can't say hello to everybody, but I'm giving you all hearts and hugs and sending you all love. So, welcome to the stream where there's going to be a big announcement. I'm just letting you all know we're going to have some big guests. There's going to be some cool people. And generally, I want this to be a stream. We're going to go for 3 hours today. This is going to be a stream not just about my big announcement, but the people that I'm bringing on. Oh my gosh, I might need to put the stream into slow mode here, but I want this to be a stream where we get to talk about not only my stuff, but other people's stuff who come on about like positivity and sending good vibes and love, and people getting to talk about their own projects, because it's been shitty lately, I know, for a lot of us, and I have good news that I'm super excited about, and I want to make sure to share good news with like everybody else, because I think we really need good things. To start off, though, sorry, I have anxiety because this is like very exciting, and also there's a lot, and there's so many wonderful people here. So welcome to my anxiety moment. But But yeah, to start off, what we're going to do at the start of the stream is I'm going to officially make the big announcement. A lot of you have guessed what it is, but for those of you who have not heard, I said at the end of the last video that I made, the AI and transphobia video, that I am making a short film, and that initially that short film was going to be a Kickstarter short film. We were going to kickstart it with my producer, who I'm going to have on here in just a minute because she is awesome. But things have changed. So what I'm about to do to start off the stream is I'm about to share with you a video that's about like 10-12 minutes long that's going to explain not only what the short film is, what the project is, but also who I am working with on this project. And I think she is one of the coolest people in the world. And also what changed about the project to make the announcement change, which is also very exciting and very cool. And then after the video airs, I'm going to bring on my producer, who you will find out who it is in the video. And we're going to talk about the project for about 15 minutes or so. And then we're going to start bringing on guests and just talk about cool stuff with cool people. So the announcement stuff and things about what's going on are going to be the first 30 minutes or so of the stream. And we'll certainly talk about it and touch upon it throughout the whole stream. But then after that, it's just going to be cool guests, sharing positivity, sharing kindness, and sharing love. So let's start off with the video. I adore you all. You are amazing, and I love you, and I see so many people in the chat being wonderful. Oh, Bellamy, it's good to see you. All right, I'm going to play the video so that I can, like, reset myself. But I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you're excited about this. I'm looking forward to seeing all your reactions in the chat. And just thank you before we get started, because all of this is possible because of all of you. You are beautiful and amazing, and this community of all you kind people is what allows me to do cool things with cool people and spread positivity and kindness, because you give me positivity and kindness, and I just adore everyone here. So just thank you for giving me this chance to do this cool thing. All right, enough being said, enough teasing. Jessie's been enough of a tease over the past few days. Let's show off the video. So stick around just a second. The promo video will be here, and also I see Vera is in the chat. You may recognize a certain AI voice in the opening of this video if you're watching. All right, let's do it. Hey everyone! So, what you're about to watch is the announcement of a dream project that I have been working on for over a year to get to this point, and is one that I am so freaking excited to finally share with all of you. It's something that is going to be going into production sometime in the next few months, and as you'll see, is incredibly personal to me, not just because of the story it's telling, which I think is really cool in and of itself, but the people that I get to work with to make it, and who I'm hoping to draw greater attention to by doing this thing. But even more so, I am so excited to announce that I'm working on this project with Nebula to make this thing happen. I'll speak more about that in just a moment, but without further ado, I'm super pumped to introduce you to my upcoming short film, Identities.
Our two protagonists awaken in a strange, empty, perfectly square, pristine white room with no memory of how they arrived there. Slowly, they discover they are new employees stuck inside the mysterious corporation Advent's virtual metaverse, about to go through worker orientation. To leave the room, they must choose which of their unique corporate-approved AI-generated avatars they're going to use to enter the online workforce, a male or a female version. Yet something is wrong. Who are they really? Every time they try to learn more, the digital reality around them glitches. As they go deeper, they find maybe the choice of who they are isn't as binary as Advent makes it seem.
Hi, my name is Jessie Earl, and many of you may know me as jessiegender from the fabled land of YouTube, where I work as a video essayist talking about things like LGBTQ issues as well as pop culture, because I'm a huge dork. You want a rant about Star Trek? I'll give you a rant about Star Trek. But I also work as a journalist, LGBTQ advocate, video producer, and most pertinently to what we're talking about right now, a filmmaker. And I've created films and series and content for everyone from Microsoft to GameSpot. Identities is a short film that I am incredibly passionate about making, and it's one that's been stuck in my brain for a really long time. One of the first versions of Identities began as a deeply personal story that I wrote shortly after I came out as transgender. And back then, it was a sci-fi story about my fears as I started my transition. It was about a meeting between who I was supposed to be, the boy, the man I was supposed to become, and the girl that I never thought I would actually get to be. My coming to terms with my fear that I would never actually be either. But as I wrote it, the conversation between these two avatars made me realize that neither of them would ever be me, but I could be someone who was created between the conversation with these two avatars, but someone who was greater than both of them. It was someone I never thought I could be until a story let me imagine that it was possible. What's most amazing is that since I wrote that story, I've become that person I never imagined I could be. I became a reality. I created my identity within a system and a world that told me to never even think that it was possible. And in its initial form, the story of Identities was the birth of that possibility because it let me envision a world beyond the bounds of the algorithm that I've been told to execute. My body became the glitch, and my story was the start of that system's corruption. And even more, I realized that that story, my story, was not a unique one.
Customers first. It's customers first.
We're honored you picked Advent as your new corporate home. And like our customers, we know that the identities of our employees help us stay unique and fresh. Male and female, young and old, people come in all kinds. And we want to see you like we do our customers, as people. That's what sets us apart from the rest of the Big Four. So before we begin official orientation and you meet your fellow Adventees, it's time for you to pick your identities. See, we like to express ourselves here.
As a nerd and someone who wants to be a storyteller, I like to think about the worlds we might live in and the worlds that we might create. For the past couple decades, our digital identities have become a greater and greater part of how we express who we are. And right now, we live at the precipice of a new reality. As things like the metaverse and virtual realities become more realistic, our digital identities may soon become our primary identities. Yet, like in our real world, these new digital universes that we will find ourselves in will be coded and created by those who do not see the totality of human possibility. CEOs, corporations, and those who only see humans as tools to be used for our functions are the ones that get to decide which realities and metaverses and virtual worlds that we get to exist in. They only see us as cogs in a machine, not full people, and they will code a reality for themselves and force us to exist within their programming. How do we express who we are in a world that was never meant to allow us to do so? If we all live in a metaverse where the code says you can only be a man or a woman, how can you be non-binary? How can you be disabled if there's only an able-bodied avatar that you can purchase? Or will your actual skin tone be found in the 5 palette swaps some CEO decides that you can use within their corporate environment? How do we define ourselves in someone else's digitally created reality? Those are the questions that I hope Identities, this short film, will confront. In a digital world created by those in power who do not see the totality of human possibility, how do we define ourselves? Who are we forced to be, and who do we wish to be? And can we fight to make something greater than either of those things? Can we break their programming? Identities is not a short film about me, but it is about how all of us can break the limitations of someone else's imagination. And what excites me most about this project, beyond getting to tell the story, is that I have partnered with the best person in this reality and any other in order to help me make this possible. My producer, Dr. Aaron McDonald.
Hi, my name is Aaron McDonald, and I'm so thrilled that Jessie asked me to come on and be a part of Identities as the lead producer. Now, some of you might know me. I am the science advisor for the entire Star Trek franchise since 2019, which of course is how I met Jessie.
Have you ever considered becoming a xenobiologist?
Xenobiologist? What's that?
It's the study of new life forms.
I have a background in astrophysics, general relativity, and gravitational waves. I've worked as a researcher, I've worked as an educator, public communicator, and as an engineer, as a modeling and simulation engineer, and as a project manager. And when I started working in the entertainment industry, I realized I enjoyed doing that project management stuff, and that translated really well to film production. So last year I started my company called Space Time Productions, little nod to my background, and we made our first short film called Every Morning, which is a queer sci-fi love time loop story. We were able to get it done within 10 months of coming up with the idea to delivering the film, which I was super excited about. But one of the things that was really important to me was providing representation. Not just telling a story like that, but also providing opportunities to people behind the screens. We were super proud that our crew was made up of 60% women and 10% gender nonconforming folks. We had wonderful representation across the LGBTQ spectrum, and it was really just a beautiful experience to be able to tell this kind of story through that lens. So I hope to continue to do that, and Identities was a perfect next story for Space Time Productions to tell. Now, one of the things that's most important to me is being able to pay everyone fairly and to pay everyone union rates for working in this creative space. Jessie and I are not planning on taking any money for this ourselves, unless of course we take care of everything else. So, we're here to support it, to get this film made, to do it to a high production value, and show Hollywood that these films can be made with creators that we don't normally get to see behind or in front of the camera. So we're asking for your support. I want to thank you again for taking the time to watch this, and to Jessie for giving me this opportunity to help get her wonderful, beautiful story told.
Identities is not just my story, but our story. And more importantly, it's a story that Aaron and I can only tell because of all of you. You all helped create this fantastic community on YouTube that let me believe my dreams like this one were possible. And I want to not only give back to all of you, but pay that forward and give to others, which is why, as this project's director, it's really important to me and why I'm working with Aaron to bring together a cast and crew from all walks of life who don't get the chance to work on projects like this normally, and tell a story about those of us who don't get to typically be the leads of stories, and do it while making sure everyone is paid fairly. And this brings me to the next exciting part about this announcement, because I am pumped to announce that Nebula, the award-winning streaming service made by myself and other fantastic creators, is funding the making of Identities. Initially, Aaron and I actually planned on kickstarting this project. Quite literally, we were days away from announcing a Kickstarter campaign. But when I mentioned to Nebula what Aaron and I were hoping to do with Identities, they instantly wanted to support it. I am legitimately honored and kind of freaked out that they want my project to be alongside works like my fellow YouTube creator Abigail Thorne's The Prince, which is her multiversal Shakespeare film that is only available on Nebula that features numerous diverse people behind and in front of the camera. To me, seeing projects like this and seeing what Nebula wants to do by giving creators, especially creators who don't often get a chance to be seen in places like Hollywood, is incredibly exciting. Nebula allows creators the chance to show that not only can we do quality projects like this, we actually do it better than anyone else when we do it on our own terms, not theirs. And that's directly because of the support you give us. So that being said, over the next few months, as Identities gears up, I will still be making YouTube videos that will only be getting bigger in production as well. You can even see one of them that I've currently been filming right there. But because of all of that, that will mean that there will probably be longer between videos as I work on making them and Identities and ensuring that my videos continue to be up to the par of where I'm at as a creator. So while Identities is funded, I personally am not getting paid at all for doing it. So with that in mind, Nebula is offering an exclusive deal to help us get Identities done as a Nebula original, helps Nebula to continue to support this project and other projects going forward, also helps support me paying my bills, and even cooler for all of you, gets you all access to cool stuff in the meantime. So, if you sign up for Nebula at the link below, you'll be directly helping fund me and my ability to pay my bills between video releases, as well as supporting Identities as we go into production. But more importantly, you'll all get access to Nebula and all it offers, including The Prince and other Nebula originals like Maggie Mae Fish's amazing unrated series, as well as some of my own Nebula-only content, all while supporting Nebula's vision of a creator-first platform. This is the reason that working with Nebula on this was so appealing over Kickstarter, because it means you get access to all of that while still supporting this project, me, and other Nebula creators as well. And there's a little trick here. If you sign up for the annual plan, you'll get access to Identities as well, as we're aiming to be finished with it by the end of this year and have it on Nebula soon thereafter. And we're also planning on releasing updates and behind-the-scenes content for Identities on Nebula as well, so you can follow along with the project as we make it. So, to wrap out, I want to end on the most earnest note and just say thank you to all of you for getting me this far. This is what I talk about when I say community matters. You all have allowed me to dream big and work with people like Aaron and organizations like Nebula. That's all directly because of you. Like, I can draw a direct line from you to me being able to do this stuff, and it means so much. And I hope I give back by doing hopeful projects like this, because I think we all need that right now, and I want to give chances to others who have even more amazing stuff that they want to make. That better future where we break beyond the limits of someone else's imagination, that starts today with all of us. And I'm so excited to do it with you. Hopefully people can now hear my voice and make sure I hear Aaron.
Hello, I'm here.
Hello.
Am I here?
Hello, I think we are on. Hello,
Yay!
everybody. Hello. Oh my gosh, sorry. I was just telling Aaron before. Hello, sorry. My brain's overwhelmed because there's a lot of people saying wonderful, nice things, and also I have this wonderful human here with me who I'm excited to have on. Yeah, Aaron. Thank you for doing this with me because you are amazing and I adore you, and I am so excited to be doing this project with you because this is going to be awesome. Yeah.
It's amazing. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I think we're both a little overwhelmed. This is a thing that's happening.
Yeah, that's what I'm like trying, because I was like, I'm going to be prepped. I'm going to bring Aaron on. It'll all be cool. I'll be cool and professional and like host this thing. And now just seeing everyone in the chat, I'm just like, oh God, I can't be on a stream right now. I want to curl in a corner and just be overwhelmed. So thank you everybody in the chat for saying wonderful things. I'm gonna just talk to Aaron for a second because otherwise I'm gonna be overwhelmed with you being super kind. But Aaron, I will toss it to
Hi.
you. How are you doing? And introduce yourself. I know you kind of introduced yourself in the video, but introduce yourself to people.
Yeah, hi. I love the fact that we're doing this for many, many reasons. First of all, Jessie, I think this is the first time you and I have like live streamed on a video together.
Is it? Because I know we've like because we've never done anything official together. That is weird, actually.
Very weird.
Yeah.
It's very weird. Yeah. So mentioned a little bit in the video, but in case anyone's coming late or missed it, I am Aaron. Hi. I have a background in astrophysics, PhD. Some people might hear me be called Dr. Aaron, but I don't require it.
I require it. I will demand everyone in chat, you must call her Dr. Aaron, because that's too cool not to. And she worked freaking hard on it. So yes, Dr. Aaron.
Thank you. Yeah, I was in academia for a number of years after my PhD, and then I went into teaching at community colleges and science museums. Unfortunately, I could not pay the bills doing that, as our society is what it is.
Welcome to capitalism. Oh, it's
Yay.
almost like we're critiquing that.
Who'd have thought?
Ooh.
And then I moved into aerospace engineering. That's where I started working like as a project manager, although there's some element of that in academia as well. And I really missed teaching, so I started going to conventions. I started talking about the science behind science fiction, really found that that's where my true heart was, because I've always been a huge movie and sci-fi nerd, and moved to Los Angeles, started to connect with people I'd met at these conventions, a lot of whom were writers and creators in Los Angeles, and they were like, ooh, science advising, this is a thing you should do. And then my talks got on Star Trek's radar. They invited me to come give the talks at their official events, like the physics of Star Trek and how warp drive works and all of that. And then I got brought on for season 3 of Discovery.
Yeah. Hard out to Discovery, by the way, since it's wrapping up its last season, but we're excited to see it. So.
Yes, exactly. And then I got brought on after that to be the science advisor for the whole franchise. Jessie and I met last year in person.
Yeah, in person. I think technically, like, we had done like online stuff, like we tweeted at each other and like online life, and then of course we meet at a Star Trek convention officially. It's like, oh my god, yeah,
this is the thing. And last year, and the reason I'm here is because I started my own production company, tying in with that project management and that love for science fiction. I was like, man, like, I know a lot of really good people. I know a lot of really smart people who are just on the verge of making it and have cool stories to tell, who can't kind of get past that barrier in Hollywood that prevents kind of these smaller voices from getting heard. And so let's just figure it out ourselves. And I made the first film last year called Every Morning with my friend Mary Chifo and her girlfriend Maddie Goff. Maddie wrote it. The two of them starred in it. And we also had a cameo appearance by Deep Space Nine's Terry Farrell as well.
As soon as I saw that, and also, by the way, chat, I hear the sound problem. I can turn myself up a little bit. Thank you. Aeronauts probably coming in to yell at me to turn up my sound right now. But yeah, I saw. Yeah, thank you, Aaron. But yeah, no, I saw Terry, and I'm like, oh my god, it's Jessie. It's my favorite. He's wonderful.
She was wonderful. And so yeah, for those of you who might be frantically searching for the film right now, it is currently out to festivals, so it's not publicly available, but it will hopefully be available somewhere online, probably closer to, autumn, near the end of this year. But it's been doing really well. We've won a few awards. We won the Outstanding Achievement Award for LGBTQ short film from the Indie Short Fest in January, and Best Original Score. And what was so exciting with it was we got awarded the Women in Film Parody and Action Award for having representation that looks like what our society looks like behind the scenes. And so that was something that was very exciting and probably what I'm proudest of. Although Jessie and Dax was pretty good too.
Hell yeah. I'm sorry, making sure people are saying I'm still quiet, so making sure I'm still good. I'm getting messages from people. But let me know, chat, if I think I boosted myself up. I can boot myself up a little bit more. But anyways, yeah, no, the thing that, like, so just to get in the mindset, like, when I met you in person at the Star Trek convention in Chicago, like, one of the things that I love just talking about, because we were talking Star Trek and it was great, but then you were like talking about, like, I want to make films that are like that people don't really get to see, and you were talking, I think at that point you were talking about you were about to go into shooting Every Morning at that point, and it was just like really cool to like talk to you about it and be like, oh my god, you're ideal human who just like I connect with that so much. And yeah, I don't know, I just like the other thing about this that I'm like excited about doing our project, because you were doing it on yours, was making sure that this project wasn't just like about like queer people, about women, but about bringing that behind the scenes too. So like I'm really excited. Like I think one of the first things, like our meetings about Identities, we literally were like talking about like we want to make sure that like we have a crew of like mostly, if not exclusively, queer, LGBTQ women, people of color, just people who don't normally get to be seen. And I'm like, yes, I'm very much about it.
It's going to be really fun. Yeah. And that was absolutely the tone and the set that we had on Every Morning.
a lot of the crew members who've, been working for a few years in the industry were just like, this is like the best set. Like, I don't want to leave this set, because it was just that vibe of so many amazing LGBTQ, like queer creators, and just creating something where we felt like our voice and our image was being shared back at us, and creating it together and empowering each other. And it was just a wonderful set. So it was like, yeah, when Jessie and I were talking about this, it was like, oh, we're not going to do it any other way. Like, this is how I'm going to make movies from now on. It is like this.
I'm honestly, like, legitimately, I'll say this to you on stream, I'm legitimately honored to be working with you on this. Like, you are one of the coolest people that I've ever met, and it's also, like, you're also one of the sweetest human beings I've ever met. Between you and your husband, by the way, who is also one of the nicest people, like, I am just, like, in awe of the fact that I get to, like, work with you both, and I'm going to be so excited to do this with you both, and, I'm excited to just do this thing, and now I might as well talk about this part of it too, because like you and I were planning on doing a Kickstarter for this. Like, we had been planned for the last like month to be like, we're gonna do a Kickstarter, and it's gonna be great. We're gonna live in anxiety for the entire month of March and hope that it gets made. But now Nebula's like funding the whole thing, which is wild. So thank you to Nebula. I know Nebula folks are listening because they're messaging me in the Slack right now that I'm too quiet. So I see you, Dave. And yeah, so that's very exciting. But now it's also nerve-wracking because like I know this is going to be awesome. I'm really excited about this, but it's also like, oh, people believe in me. That's crazy.
I mean, this, the whole idea of like imposter syndrome and believing that you can do it. That's one of these things that I love being in a position and being supported by like organizations like Nebula that are like, oh no, you can do it, and we trust you, and we will go off and we will do it. And that just feels so good.
Yeah, and we're gonna kick ass, like legitimately. We can't say too much about production yet, obviously, because we're still planning on that. But like some of the people that we've talked to already, I'm very excited about, and like just some of the things that we're planning on doing, I'm very excited about, and some of the things that like, I don't know. I also am just, can I just say how thankful I am for you for being like sending emails and just setting things up, and like I'm like, oh my gosh, she's a killer producer who actually like knows her stuff and does amazing stuff.
I love producing. Let me just say, like, I was like, because this is the sort of stuff, it is project management, right? Like,
oh no, you froze on my end. Oh, one sec, you froze on my end. Coming back. Oh no, roboting. Sorry, chat. She's roboted a little bit on me, so I will. Hopefully, she'll be back in just a second.
Like, to making launching satellites. I care about movies.
Oh, you were back. So,
my internet went into a zone.
You were good. You're back.
Okay, good. It's because I started trashing the satellite industry. Satellites were like, nope,
we got you. We're watching.
Yeah. No, all I was saying, I apologize for that, but all I was saying was just, this is a skill set that I learned, and I just wasn't as enthusiastic about it. And then once it came to making movies, I was like, oh no, just give me the brief. I love being in charge. I love letting creative people do their creative things, and I'll just make sure that train keeps going.
But you're also a creative person too, and like legitimately you've had amazing ideas and like doing cool stuff, and like I think you're a killer producer. Like legitimately, I know this is silly, but it's just like seeing emails pop up. It's like, oh, Erin already did the thing. Normally I have to do all the things, and she's already done it and better than I ever could. So. It's like, oh, there's a budget. There's an actual budget made.
Thank you. No, we make a great team, and I'm so excited to continue to share this project. And yeah, if people are like, I want to hear more, a lot of that reason is because we were fully intending on like waiting to see if we had this, and then it all happened, and so the train's going now, and it's gonna be great.
No, like legitimately, like last week, I said this earlier, but like last week we were like, okay, Kickstarter's gonna go, we're all set, you're gonna go on the Star Trek cruises where you were for the last week, and I'm jealous because you're even bigger nerd than I am, and I love it, and so it's like, all right, we're going to announce the Kickstarter, you'll go on the Star Trek cruise, and then we'll come back, and hopefully it'll all be good to go. And then literally at the last minute, Nebula's like, oh, yeah, you know that anxiety, we'll fund it. And I'm like, oh, good, now I have to change up everything and cancel videos that I forget to cancel and make go live for an hour and announce things wrong. But yeah, no, it's great. And yeah, I do want to say, I'll just say real quickly, just to clarify, because I made a mistake, there's a video, just because Nebula folks are yelling at me in the Slack too. The video said, said $20 for an annual plan at Nebula. It should be $30 for an annual plan. I'm just saying that because people were yelling at me in Slack. So sign up for Nebula because they're supporting this, and you get identities and all that jazz. But yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I wanted to say. I don't want to spoil too much about the project, but I'm excited about this. I mean, people kind of got the gist of what it is from the video, but I think it's a cool sort of discussion around like what we're planning on, like just our digital selves becoming our real selves, but also more about like who gets to dictate how we express ourselves, and can we define that for ourselves, and can we do it out? Can we break down a system that is never going to really be built for us?
Yeah.
And I sent you a lot of the quote that was at the beginning of the video is from a book called Glitch Feminism by Legacy Russell, which I sent you because I'm like, this book is everything that I wanted to is. So.
Absolutely. And I think, too, what excites me about this project is, we met through Star Trek, like just being fans of Star Trek and having these connections to it. But one of the things I think we both love about Star Trek and about sci-fi, and what you so eloquently speak about on a regular basis, is how science fiction creates a mirror to our own world. And it gives us the tools to kind of share perspectives in a unique way, but that really provide a glimpse into people's lived experience that you couldn't necessarily get outside of that science fiction context. And so, yeah, continuing on those themes and pushing those boundaries more, I think is what this film is going to provide. And that it makes me so excited. And yes, again, I apologize for my voice and my sniffling.
Don't apologize.
No, I was on a cruise for 7 days.
Legitimately, I felt. I'm gonna be honest. I felt bad because, like, I think you messaged me like yesterday. I was like, "Are you all ready for the stream?" And you're like, "I'm gonna just crawl off the ship and then be here." So
all good. I wouldn't miss this for the world. Absolutely.
You were telling me before we streamed, this isn't on topic at all, but I just have to talk about it because you made me jealous. You got to hear Andrew Robinson do Garrick and Reed Stitch in Time, which is I'm legit jealous of you. That is so amazing. I just want to hear Garrick's dulcet tones reading to me.
I know. I have, I'm so fortunate both as a Star Trek fan and just as a professional to meet these wonderful people and get to work with people I've admired and looked up to for so long. And you get a little bit numb to it where I'm like, oh, hey, Terry Farrell, let's hang out. Let's get drinks, whatever. But let me tell you, sitting in that audience with Andrew Robinson, who played Garrick on Deep Space Nine, come out and read excerpts from his book about Garrick as Garrick, was just... I'm not even exaggerating when I was just sitting there and I just started crying because he was so good. And I was like, this is a life goal that I didn't know I needed. And now I need it, and now I have it.
It's a life goal that I didn't know I needed until you said it, and now I need it. And I'm jealous. Sorry. How dare you do this to me? I quit. I'm done with this project. I'm not working with you anymore.
I love it. But yes, thank you.
Can I also, I'm going to talk you up for just one second. Again, this is off topic, so we can start bringing in guests soon, but I also just want to like legitimately say one other cool thing about you. You're the person that, or I think it was like you and your other science advisor friend who was working
Professor Noor.
Yeah, who did the Omega particle in Discovery, which I was like, that's the nerdiest thing ever, and I adore you.
Yeah, it was such like hidden in it too, because we were creating a species that like required a ton of power, and they had found a species that had like used up the Dyson sphere around their star planet. Then it moved somewhere else, and they had a star system's worth of power. And for those people who are familiar with like this idea of alien civilizations and the Kardashev scale and all of that, that was like a big deal. And so they were like, well, what kind of power source could they be looking for? And I was like, the Omega molecule, the Omega molecule, the Omega molecule. And so, but we hid it really subtly in there because they're farming boronite ore, and people were like, oh,
I know that.
What that is. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, it's very exciting.
Hey, Aaron, hello.
Hi. How's everybody doing?
We're doing good. I feel...
I heard the magic words bringing guests in soon.
Yes.
So I thought I would come check in.
Also, everyone in chat, send love to Aronach, because Aronach is moderating this stream for the entirety of today. So just send love for all of her work doing this, because she's kick-ass and amazing as well. I get to work with really cool people.
Yeah, I'm also a part of the Identities project, and I co-write with Jessie and make my own stuff too, but Yeah, Jesse. Actually, you teased our Star Wars video.
Yes, we did in that video. Because one of the big things that's going to be going on with this is because we're going to be working on this. It's going to take time for us to all of us to work on this stuff. And so I'm very pumped to do that. But it also means I'm going to be taking longer to make videos, and we're making bigger videos over that time. So it's going to be longer between videos and stuff like that. But I promise you're going to have cool stuff to do. And also our Star Wars video is going to kick ass. We were talking about it earlier about how it's going to be about the monomyth of Star Wars and politics of Star Wars. It's going to be fun. So I have a lot of cool stuff. Sorry, my brain is also dying at the moment because I'm
no, it's
so
okay.
much.
You're excited. That's why I'm here. Because I run around making Jessie less stressed.
Yes, that is your job.
Yeah. I guess, do you want to talk about that project for 5 seconds and then bring guests in, or?
Yeah, I mean, if other people are ready to go, but we're just the Star Wars project that we're working on is just we're gonna be doing this cool layering thing. I don't want to tease it too much because I kind of want it to be a surprise.
I don't want to tease it too much either. If people want a mild tease,
yes,
the first third of the script is up on my Patreon.
Yes,
so
it should be. I'm actually filming
the first third. You don't get to know the big twist. You don't get to know the big twist before I get there. But as we work on it, the animated sections, because yes, I'm animating a huge thing for this. It's a video essay, but it's also a Star Wars short film animated, kind of somewhat like the Genndy Tartakovsky Clone Wars style.
It should be very, very. I am very pumped for it. Legitimately, after the stream, I'm going away to put on George Lucas cosplay and film at the Museum of Pop Culture for it. So my day is busy as hell.
Y'all are ready for drag King George Lucas.
It's gonna be drag King George Lucas.
Yeah, you're also just not ready for the outfit that Jessie found for me to wear for the character I'm playing.
I love it.
But I don't want to be too rude because I know we have a few people waiting. So we want
guests. So I've already checked everybody's mics and cameras.
Sweet.
So I'm good to bring them in.
Hell yeah.
Do we want to just kind of do one at a time so they can intro themselves?
I can roll on out.
No, we'll stick around for just a minute because I want to have Matt say hi to you, but then we can roll out.
Sounds good.
Also, I just want to say just to you and Aaron, Dave messaged me. Dave wants to come on as well, so we could also have him on because he'll hype up Nebula stuff. So
yeah, I will make sure that Dave gets on. Yeah. If people don't know, Dave Wiskus is the
CEO of Nebula. I'll introduce him properly when he comes in, but I'm just making sure. Sorry, I'm gonna bring in our first guest. I'll just bring them one at a time, and then they can just introduce themselves, and then I'll bring the next person in, kind of thing. I'm just gonna tell them that's what we're doing, and then Matthew will be here. Sweet.
Cool.
Well, thank you, Aaron. I know you're gonna head out relatively soon, so you can go and relax yourself. But I did want to just have you on just because I want to have you slide out and say goodbye to you because you're amazing, and legitimately doing this project with you has me very excited. I am very excited to be doing this thing. I think we're gonna make something really cool, and I think we're gonna say something really cool. And thank you for doing this with me.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to it. It's an honor and a pleasure and a delight. And I'm so happy that Nebula also sees the vision that we have, and they wanted to help support us. And it just allows us to go off and make amazing things for people. So
speaking of amazing people, hello.
Oh,
I know you.
Hi everyone.
Hello, welcome to the stream. It's good to see you.
Thank you for having me. It's good to see you all as well. First of all, amazing announcement video, by the way. That I was in the green room of this, and I was like, hold on, everybody. I have to stop pausing for 10 minutes, like the chatter, and I'm just over here while people are looking at my face. It was really great. Congratulations on that.
Thank you so much. No, I was I needed to, because that was originally the Kickstarter video that I edited to kickstart the thing, and then it had to shift to become a Nebula thing now.
As all things will.
But yeah, it was fun to do. Thank you so much. By the way, I want to share this story real quick because I wanted to do this while Aaron was here. So Matt, I met you for the first time at a Nebula event that we were at, and we I did not know, I hadn't put in together my brain because I know you had talked about it, but we both knew Aaron. And we were just chatting. It's like, oh wait, we both know Aaron. I have a meeting with Aaron that we're gonna be doing this week. And so I literally go on the call with Aaron, and we had planned for you to just walk by in the background because Aaron had no idea that you were here.
It was so perfectly executed because it was legitimately exactly what both of you were hoping for, that I would be talking to Jessie on Zoom and this person just walks in the background and I'm like,
in a location where the connection of where I would be versus where Jessie would be was not like in the conversation at all. So that was very, very fun.
Yeah.
So great.
Yeah, so I mean, okay, I have a couple questions first and foremost. So actually, weirdly, Jessie, you told me about this project a little bit, and once we got the Aaron connection, I've chatted with you all about it a little bit. But like, how since I jumped behind your call, and then now it's sort of transitioned from a Kickstarter into a Nebula thing. What have been like? I mean, has there even been time to adjust, sort of like how you're going to go about what you're going about?
No, because legitimately we had the calls with Nebula last week, 2 weeks ago. Time is a flat circle, but it was like literally last minute. And then Aaron was like, "I'm going on the Star Trek cruise now," and so it's like, "Well, I will handle this live stream and making sure everything runs smooth." And that's been going good, but we haven't been able to like move things forward for the most part, just because Aaron's been gone and being a nerd. So,
well, I will say that I would say that probably the only thing that I'm most excited about is just there's that uncertainty with crowdfunding any film that you have to kind of wait to, start making calls and hiring people until you're going to be able to do it. Now we know we're able to do it. So now that I have recovered and slept for another 15 hours, I will start making calls.
Yeah.
Speaking of not having to deal with an uncertainty, here's the man of the hour, Dave Wiskus.
The man who saved us. Well, not saved us, but made it happen. Hello, Dave.
Dave, you need to turn your camera back on because Discord's silly like that.
So
I was in the middle of listening to Nando tell me about the season premiere of Mandalorian.
Oh my
god! And I'm never gonna know. I'm never gonna know what happened.
So
be a mystery for me forever. Hey, Matt.
Hello.
Be dangerous, Dave, because if you talk about Star Wars, I'll end up talking about Star Wars and not this actual project.
We'll just end up talking about Jessie my Star Wars video, which will be up on Nebula before it's up on YouTube. Just saying.
But
the only reason we were discussing it at all is because there's this Grogu behind me here, and I was explaining it's actually my wife's. It's not mine. I don't like. I have stormtroopers everywhere, but I don't like this. This was I won a bunch of GameStop points in a Mr. Beast video. Long story. And they only let you use $106 worth of points at a time. So for ages, I was just taking people to GameStop, like, pick out whatever you want under $106. And so my wife's like, I want this. I'm like, really? A Baby Yoda thing? She's like, yeah, it's cute. I'm like, you haven't even watched more than one episode of the show. She's like, I don't care. It's cute.
It's cute.
Okay, fine.
That's how they get you. It's cute and adorable. Who does not love Baby Yoda?
Merchandising.
Exactly.
Yep. Good enough.
Well,
Good enough.
Introduce yourself, Dave, for folks who don't know you. So.
Hi, I'm Dave. I am founder, CEO of Nebula and the talent agency behind Nebula Standard. I'm also, if you watch a YouTuber named Patrick H. Willems, I also play a version of myself on his show. And in the feature film Nebula Original Night of the Coconut, directed by Patrick Willems. And I've got my podcast, NDA, which is me arguing with various creators and creator-like people.
You say arguing. I have a band. Generally, you're very. I found that you actually agree a lot of the time. I found.
Well, the arguing, it's a nice framework. It's a nice thing to say. We don't actually have to argue.
Yeah.
But it's a clickbait thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Most of the time, even if we disagree on things, it kind of comes down to finding the ways in which you agree on a thing you don't necessarily agree about. Because most of the time, it happens a lot where I'll end up in like, not an intense debate, but like an impassioned discussion with somebody about something upon which we agreed like 99%. Mm-hmm. But Jessie, you and I we had this experience not too long ago. Yeah, sitting.
Matt
poolside in the
was there
Bahamas.
watching us.
I was there. I was just doing this.
we were arguing we were arguing about movie stuff, and I was just like,
Yeah.
oh boy.
And the whole time it was like neither of us cares about this. Not really.
Yeah.
So it was a safe space to argue, but that happens a lot where you end up in a conversation where it's not fun to just sit around agreeing with each other.
Mhm.
And for creator economy podcasts especially, can I swear on this?
Yeah, go
Am I
for
allowed
it.
to?
It's fine. Yeah.
I find that creator economy shows, podcasts are often, I don't know, circle jerk star fucker events where the host is just there to agree with whatever the guest just said because they want the guest to be their friend so that they can claim that they're friends with that guest because it gets them further into I just don't give a fuck. I just don't care. I'd rather bring on interesting people and disagree with them than bring on people that I wish were my friends and sit around kissing their ass.
No, that's totally fair. I mean, like, that's what I like. The problem that I have with a lot of spaces online is that it just generally creates, like, arguments that are there just to win, as opposed to actually having a discussion that ends up being productive and, is about, like, finding some sort of consensus in the discussion. Not even, like, in the middle, but in the discussion itself. So.
Yeah, like
it's between discussing a topic to try to learn more about it and understand more, and engaging in a game of competitive word.
Yes. Yes. I think the thing we can all agree on since roughly 2016 is the Devils have plenty of advocates. They do not need more. But finding the nuances, the cracks and crevices in the Venn diagram upon the things of which we agree or disagree, that is interesting. Because we can learn from each other that way. But just sitting around agreeing or sitting around arguing, neither of those sounds especially fun or interesting to me.
Yeah. Well,
arguing with the purpose of arguing is inherently futile, except for getting clout.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, while Aaron is here, I also wanted to have you talk about coming in and being like, hey, we'll remove your entire Kickstarter anxiety, but also make you change your entire plan at the last minute by being awesome.
Well, I didn't. I think I said this before, but like, I'm sorry and you're welcome.
Yeah, I know. You have nothing to apologize for. It was just like, what? The night you sort of said like, oh yeah, don't worry about Kickstarter. We'll do this. We'll fund you. How about that? And I'm like, oh, okay. It was.
Well, you came in. You're. Can I tell the whole story?
Yeah, please do.
Okay. All right. So on our community Slack, one of the community guys, we have a code of conduct thing, and the code of conduct has a bunch of stuff you would expect about treating people with respect and like no attacking people for gender identity or body type or any of this kind of stuff. You know, good code of conduct.
That's what I attack people most for on that Slack, though. I attack people for gender identity all the time.
Vicious.
Sarcasm.
One of them is this isn't a space for, like, you can't ask people to sit, like, you can't come in for a signal boost. Like, this isn't a place for creators to ask other creators for favors in that way. And the phrasing when Jessie came in, like, I'm doing this live stream event, the phrasing was like just this far over the line. And so I sent a DM like, can we change this very slightly? Because I agree with what you're doing and I'd love to help. Is there like maybe one word we could change there so that nobody complains that a rule is broken? I have to hear about it later. And in that conversation, the more I look at them, I'm like, wait, why are you doing this as a Kickstarter? Fuck Kickstarter. Like, how much do you need? Fuck it, let's just do it. I send a DM. It's like 11 p.m. or something, and I send a DM to our CFO. I'm like, hey, can I do this thing? And he's like, why? And I'm like, well, because of this. He's like, I guess. I'm like, great. Hey, Jessie, why don't we just do this as a Nebula original, and we'll figure it out from there? Especially because, like, we hadn't done, of all of the Nebula original things we've done, we haven't done something like this. We haven't done, like, a big kickoff live stream event where it's like an announcement and people are excited. This is kind of new and it's experimental. And now that we're doing all of our own marketing stuff, it's like, yeah, let's play around with this. Like, this is a cool thing. We could experiment. We can see how audiences react. And to be blunt, coming off of the success of The Prince and how well that was received by the community that you would expect, but also the broader community, there's a tempo set from The three biggest things we've done in the last year are Night of the Coconut, a sci-fi movie about a coconut trying to take over our universe, Jet Lag, a travel game show, and The Prince, which is a sci-fi trans Shakespeare metaverse sort of movie. But it's also a pro shot of a 5-week run of a theatrical play that won a bunch of awards. So, like, what do we do here? I thought this was to be educational. We sort of deviated from that. So something like this kind of fits, like, this kind of is in the center of the Venn diagram of what Night of the Coconut kind of was and what The Prince kind of was. And so I feel like the people who liked either one of those things would probably really like this.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of opportunity here. And the people who felt represented by The Prince would probably really love this. And there's a bunch of business things that stack up in favor of doing a project like this. And the more we can support our own creators chasing after their dreams and doing cool projects, the better we all look, I think.
Yeah, no, legitimately, I think I said this to you in a meeting, but thank you for like doing this. Honestly, it is exciting and terrifying because it's also like, oh, I get to do the thing now and let's go do it. But like in a cool way. And I am very thankful to you and to Nebula for making this thing happen. Like legitimately, I'm very excited.
Well, do you want the good news or the bad news?
Give me the bad news.
Well, I think I have to give you the good news first. The good news is, yeah, this is in our philosophy and this is in our ethos and this is kind of who we are and what we want to do. The bad news, if you want to look at it that way, is even if you approach this cynically, doing a project like this is still the right business decision. And what I take away from that is how lovely is it that even in the era of we're all starting to agree capitalism bad, or at least capitalism imperfect, isn't it nice that there are occasions when what is the right business decision and what is just the right thing to do can be the same thing.
Yeah,
business doesn't have to be cynical.
Yeah. I mean, I am very much more on the capitalism bad end, but we will. but I will alienate everyone, but I will make cool projects with stuff, and I appreciate you being the one to like do this sort of thing and promote these sort of things. Like legitimately, like even without doing this project, seeing The Prince was amazing. I got to see it a little bit early because I did a Q&A with Abby for stuff. And it was just like,
how great was The Prince?
It was so.
The Prince is phenomenal.
It's legitimately fantastic.
Oh my god!
One of the best things I've seen in a long time.
Which,
if you haven't watched it, chat, you
gotta watch it. And also,
it's seriously good. Actually, I might say don't watch it yet. This is not an announced thing, but we're doing. We're making some tweaks to the audio quality. There were some glitches in production.
I saw that. Yeah.
There was some there was some stuff. It wasn't bad enough to be showstopper, and we had already announced the release date, and so we kind of felt like this is theater and the show must go on. But
it's
we
pro shot. Like even Hamilton's pro shot had audio issues in some spots.
I actually kind of liked that stuff because it made it feel very theatery. Like theater has that sort of weird mistakes in it. I actually had a question about that when I interviewed Abby about it, and she's like, I haven't seen the edit yet, so I don't know at the time that we did the interview. But I was like, oh, I actually kind of like that because it like makes it feel more theatery. But
well, it won't be perfect, so good news there. But we felt that it was an important enough piece of art that it deserved to be properly preserved.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're putting in another couple of weeks of post-production to get it, a little bit more shined up. It's kind of a remaster a little bit.
Yeah.
And there's going to be an entire behind-the-scenes documentary and some other bonus stuff that comes out in probably a few weeks. This isn't announced, so this is kind of a soft announcement. I didn't. If you're listening on the stream, you didn't hear this from me. But there's going to be more cool stuff. There's going to be more cool stuff there. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that.
But I think it speaks greatly to your company and your ethos that you were just like, yes, go forth. This is a cool project. We want to support it. It helps us, but mostly like we want to help you, and we want to make sure that you can do this the way you want to, and that means a lot.
Yeah.
It means a lot.
No, legitimately.
We had talked about it ages ago as like a full series thing, and the economics at the time it was tough to make it was tough to fully build a bridge there. And then as the project kind of changed on your side, and as obviously things changed on our side, by the time we came back to it, and I saw the pitch video and the setup again, it's like, actually I think we could do this in this newer framework of like do this first and then see where it can go. Like actually, I think we could do this. Let's make this happen. And then it was a very quick conversation where Jessie's like, I think the answer is yes, but just so you know, I have to completely redo everything.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. No. I again, don't apologize. Good problem to have. I was just sort of like, welcome to my neurodivergent brain, where it's like, all right, I have everything set. It's all good. Oh, we're gonna completely change the track now. I have to readjust my entire thinking for the next month. Good problem to have, and I love it.
What was great was Jessie then told me, like texted me, because it was the evening and stuff, and then we had a call first thing in the morning, and I'm like 24, maybe 48 hours from like stepping on a boat for a week, during which time the Kickstarter was going to be announced. And she was like, let's get on the call, and we chatted, and I was like, okay, this all sounds good, this sounds great, we'll have a call later. And I was like, Jessie, I think I just need to go for a walk. I was like, this is a lot to process. My brain is kind of fried right now.
No, I did the same.
Jessie,
legitimately,
when it was happening, Jessie and I were talking, and then we hopped in a call because you were like freaking out.
I legitimately freaked out. I was like, oh my god!
Just come and like calm you down a little bit, and you were so anxious, specifically about having to change things around with the like announcement stuff and videos, and I was just like, Jessie, take the win. Like,
well, it's
take the win.
It's so funny because, you know, again, just you know, being part of Nebula, seeing this sort of like I saw that conversation, Dave and Jessie, like a little like the public facing side of that in real time when it was going on, and
actually just doing it openly in the Slack.
And I was like, oh yeah, Nebula's gonna fund this. Like in my head, I was just like, in my brain, I was like, this feels like a is it going this direction? It's going this direction. And I was like, all right.
Well,
like,
so the conversation took place in private, and then once it was clear that like, oh, we know what path we're going. I'm like, Jessie, can we sort of just do this in the channel? She's like, yeah. I'm like, all right, great.
Did I see
and
a play?
It wasn't scripted, but it was on rails. And there's like a performance to it, but we felt that it was like an important thing, an important signal to send to the rest of our internal community. Like, this is how a thing can get done. Like, other people, if you have an idea that's good, like, just bring it up. Let's talk about shit.
Yeah.
Well, the award goes to, because that was very, very good.
Well, to be fair, my responses were also like I was saying the same things that I said to Dave in a private chat, but I was legitimately still also in like, wow, this is actually happening. This is amazing, and I'm like so like overwhelmed at the moment. So like it was legitimately my real reaction, even though it was a sort of like performance of what was going on literally.
Of what was actually happening.
Yeah.
I'm gonna cut in. This is a lovely chat, but I want to make sure that we get all of our guests on, because part of the point of this stream is to highlight different creators and things they're doing, and this space. So
this is why Aaron's moderating, because she's kicking butt. Which, by the way, we haven't had a chance to talk about you, Matt. Matt, you are awesome as well, and you do cool things. And I wanted to make sure I highlighted you, because part of this was the way that this made sense to me is to make sure that I managed to like use this moment to be like, I'm doing a cool thing with Nebula. This is amazing. I want to share this with other cool people because I want other people to be able to talk about themselves and being amazing and being wonderful. So Matt, you are wonderful and amazing, and I wanted to pass it to you. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm psyched that this is. It's funny. Again, I heard about this when we were where I bumped into your call, and I was so excited. Like, the concept that you told me about for this was just super fun. So like, this is just very cool for me to be here to be on the announcement of it. I'm doing well myself.
Sorry, I was putting you in the deer in the headlights. Sorry.
We're just still churning out animated, historical, and game design content at extra credits.
Sorry, I didn't put you on the spot. I just also wanted to make sure
and that's very kind. No, I mean, I'm playing a lot of D&D. Does that count?
Yes,
I'm trying to rope Dave in at a certain point.
Oh, I'm in.
We're in New York.
That would be interesting for Dave.
Everybody deserves to play some D&D and stuff, or any TTRPG.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan of Powered by the
The reason I'm hovering around too is because I've done stuff with Matt.
Yes.
That's what
totally
I was getting to.
Yes,
which is very strange. Again, and like to have both Dave, Aaron, and this entire sort of thing on the same call is really, really, because Aaron's written for us. We do streams together. She's been on one of our D&D streams back in the day. So like to have this like parts of my life all meshing together for a very, very cool reason is just I don't know. It's making me all smiles. I'm very much enjoying it. So no, I'm
the metaverse is colliding is like just to make it topical.
Yeah.
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 Okay, I'm gonna bring in a couple more.
All right.
People.
I'm gonna say farewell.
Everyone, send
Go
love
on.
to Aaron. Chat, send love to Aaron. Aaron's amazing.
Aaron.
Yes.
Real
Hi,
quick
Aaron.
before you go,
Hi, Matt.
something that Dave and I do. Can you give us the 3-word review of your Star Trek cruise?
Ooh.
Ooh.
the best word
Oh
question.
God. That is so mean. Okay. Inspirational. Heart. I'm gonna cheat. Heartbreaking / warming.
Take it. I like it.
And family. So
Aw.
yeah, no, thank you all. This was a pleasure. Thank you, Jessie. Thank you, Dave. It's good to see you, Matt. I'll see you around.
Thank you,
And
Aaron. I could not do
Yes.
this project without you, and I'm so excited to spend the next few months just like making this thing with you. It's gonna be amazing, and we're gonna kick ass.
It's
So
been a pleasure. And thank you everyone in the chat who's watching and supporting this. And we're gonna go do amazing things together.
hell
So
yeah.
until next time. All right. Bye everyone.
Bye.
All right, who are we bringing on? Hey.
Vera.
Hey.
And once Vera's introduced themselves, I'll bring in another person.
Yes.
Hi, Vera.
Hello. Hi. Vera, you there?
turn
Oh no.
I am here. Have you got me?
I do. I hear you. Can't see. I don't know if are you going to be on camera? Don't know if you're just going to do voice or not.
It's on. I'm turning it back on.
There we go.
Yeah, when you change channels, I'm gonna go give people that warning.
Yeah.
Green room.
Okay.
Hello, Vera.
There we go.
How are you? I guess Vera, how are you?
I am here. I'm good. I am broadcasting from an undisclosed location.
Yeah, I was like, that's not your normal spot.
No, it's not.
By the way, to introduce you, well, Vera, introduce yourself because I don't know if you know everyone who's on the call. So,
My name is Vera Wild. I do way too much stuff. I am best known for the YouTube channel Council of Geeks, but I am also an author, a burlesque performer. I've been banned from TikTok twice. I've got a resume I'm building.
Yes, and you're also my podcast partner for Jumpgate, and also a great friend, and also the voice of the intro of the yes, please share.
Can I talk about that?
Yes, please. Well, let me just to give preface to people.
Okay.
So if you watch the Kickstarter video, you are the voice of the like kind of plot teller at the beginning of that video. So
yeah, that trailer's version of the In a World voice. That's me. What's funny is you'd asked me to do it. You sent me the script, and I did, a handful of takes. And then the very last one I did, I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'll kind of do a GLaDOS thing. You probably won't use it, but like something just in me wants to do that. And it was literally the last take I did. It was basically a goof take, and that was the one you went with.
It was. And I love it. Also gave me, if you watch the video, I added like a reverb where there's like a deeper pitch version and a higher pitch version of it when it like goes male, female. And I was like, I only got that idea because you did the weird GLaDOS voice, which I thought was perfect. You always give me like the weird take, and I always take the weird take whenever you give me voiceover for stuff.
Weird takes are always lovely. I'm gonna
bring
Jason from Not Just Bikes.
Jason, hello.
Hi, Jason, introduce yourself.
Here, I suddenly disappeared from the green room, and
you just suddenly appeared.
Turn the camera on.
Yes, turn the camera on. Here we go. We got to do that again.
You coming back?
Hi, everybody.
Coming out back from the bar.
Hey, Jason.
Yeah, indeed. I am calling you from a hotel in Oslo. I did just get back from the bar, but I've got one more beer to finish here because I check out tomorrow. So I'll have to take care of that before we're done here today.
Yeah. Hello. Well, welcome. Introduce yourself and let everyone know who you are in case they don't know. I'm assuming most people know you, but you're amazing.
Well, I don't know. A lot of people wouldn't know my face, right? Maybe
fair.
they know the voice, but I don't have my normal mic with me. So anyway, I'm Jason from the YouTube channel Not Just Bikes. I make urbanist content, mobility, that kind of thing.
Yes.
And I'm happy to be here. This is amazing.
Yeah.
I love this project. This is so cool, and it's incredible that Nebula can do it, and we don't have to send you off to Kickstarter.
Yeah. the terrifying world of Kickstarter.
I know.
Send you off.
Can you imagine?
Yeah. Well, welcome, Jason.
Here's the one thing that
Yeah.
Here's the one thing that I regret about that is because I've done 2 Kickstarters, so I thought we were gonna have like all these stories to commiserate about the
war stories,
about the highs and lows of that. Now, like, oh no, you're just funded. Of course you are. Sure.
No, just got the easy route out. Just get some Nebula funding.
But and also, Dave, I saw you were doing the streamception a second ago, which was fun.
Well, I've got Thomas Frank here with me. Say hi, Tom.
Hello.
Hey, Tom.
I'm still listening to the stream, which is only about 30 seconds. Hello, everybody. Hope you're doing well.
So I had Tom's phone here with the stream up, and we were taking note of how delayed it was, and so getting to like show the chat, show the viewers how delayed we're seeing them. For I don't know what that's worth, but I thought it was funny.
That is really funny. No, it is always weird. Where I'm always like, part of the weird thing is I was watching the live video go up, but I was a few minutes ahead. And I'm like, oh god, I can't wait to see how everyone reacts to this part, or like when Aaron pops out or whatever. And I'm like, oh my god, it was great. It's interesting to always see the delay. So.
Yeah, the live stream delay is always an issue. But I do bicycle live streams sometimes on a channel called NJB Live. So I'm riding a bike and interacting with chat, but then there's the delay on there and the fact that I can't look at chat all the time while I'm riding. So it can end up being an absolute mess trying to respond to anything. They'll talk about, hey, you got to turn right here. And it'll be like 3 blocks later before I read it.
Well, I noticed it becomes like a recurring conversation loop in live streams, because you'll start talking about something, and then you'll finish the subject, but then the live stream will finally hit it, and they'll start mentioning it, and then you'll bounce off of what they were just saying, going back to the topic you had just finished, and it creates an infinite conversation loop.
It's like time loops.
Exactly.
We could talk about Star Trek here if you want, Jesse.
I mean, was it you that I ranted that we were just like on a boat, and I just like ranted at you the best way to watch every single Star Trek series?
Yeah, we did. We talked about Star Trek for like the whole boat ride back there. Yeah. That was good.
Yeah, and I felt bad afterwards.
Just very quickly to bring Corey in.
Oh yes, please.
On his 12 tone. All right, and
all right,
Corey.
Hey,
also, can
Corey.
Jesse, would you mind sending the Discord link over to Thomas?
Yes, of course. I will do that right now. But yes, 12 Toad, welcome. Hello.
Hello. Hi. Oh, my camera's not on, is it?
Yep.
Yeah,
it's the curse of room moving.
There
he is. Or they're there.
Yeah. Oh, there's a dog.
And so I'm gonna quick.
Introductions can wait. I want to look at this dog.
Pixel.
Puppers. Cute little puppers. Look at them. Well, everyone can just leave right now. This has now become a puppy stream.
Yep.
I don't care. I cancel everything.
Yeah.
Let me just send Thomas this.
Yeah. Hi.
Hello. Welcome. Sorry, I'm in the middle of sending Discord.
We all just zoned straight
I
up.
guess we don't have to wait for Jesse to talk, right? We can just
Apologies. No, I'm trying to do too many things at once.
That's why she brings all of us on, so she doesn't have to talk the whole
Please, welcome. So, legitimately, I hope I'm doing okay. This isn't you to all say pat me on the back. I hope I'm doing okay, because legitimately, I thought like I have plans for today. I know what I'm going to say to everybody, and then legitimately, I'm throwing this to all of you, chat, because you're all amazing and lovely. When I was watching the chat do the video, I was like overwhelmed. So I'm like been trying to like recenter myself again the past few minutes. So it's just been I hope I'm doing good and not seeming too discombobulated. So
you're doing lovely, Jesse. Don't beat yourself up.
So well, thank you. Welcome to my anxiety. But yes, welcome.
Yes. Hello.
How you doing? How's things? How's life? Introduce yourself. Let everyone know who you are.
Yeah, I'm Corey. I make the YouTube channel 12 Tones sometimes, and most of the time, if I'm being honest. But but yeah, no, I'm a music theorist. I make stuff about music, and I draw elephants, and sometimes they look like elephants.
I adore you. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, elephants are the
thank
best.
you.
They're so cute.
Thank you.
Whenever I watch your videos, because I've watched a few, and I'm like, I only took music back in high school, and I played trumpet for several years and took lessons and stuff. And then I'm like listening. It's like I have vague recollections of this, and this is so interesting. But also, I don't remember. You're like way above me.
Yeah, I feel the same way watching those videos. I love 12-tone videos. They're fantastic.
Well, thank you.
But I also haven't really done music since I was in high school. I did a lot. I did lots of music theory. I played clarinet. I did guitar. I was in lots and lots of bands, a jazz band and stuff. But it is fun to watch it because it's just like Jessie said. You skip, oh yeah, I remember some of this, and then it just goes to this level. You're like, okay, I never knew any of that.
I watch 12-tone videos coming from a place of no music. I faked my way through band in high school. I pretended to play the trumpet, and now I can just learn for a fresh start.
There's a.
I love 12-tone videos, but I keep getting them confused with Devin's tone videos.
Oh my god.
There's a story
a little bit
that
indoor baseball.
Great.
My entire
Great reference, Dave. Perfect callback.
If you want to know the level of musician that I'm at, there is a story that whenever I go back home, because I went to school, like high school, at like a small like farming community, and there's a story that they still all tell that I go back in, where I was in, I think, 7th grade, and I had to do like, there was some assembly, and I had to play the Star Spangled Banner on the trumpet. And I would play, I was like, dang it. And then like at one point I like literally like hit my head on the trumpet because I was screwing up in front of an entire audience of people. And that was like 12 or 13 years old. And people will not let me live this down to this day. So that's like my, like people know me as a musician story.
Yeah, no, I did when I was in like elementary
growing
school.
up in a small town, no matter what you do.
People
I was
remember.
Gonna say, isn't that great about growing up in a small town? No matter what you do, and no matter what you're known for on the wide stage, they're like, "Hey, remember that time you did this nonsense?" Oh,
it's like they will never let you forget. They will never let you forget ever. It's great.
Yeah.
That's why I don't go back to my home. That's the reason, not the urban planning.
The fun thing about being trans is that now that's becomes a talking conversation in small town stuff. That it's like, oh, you forgot that. Thank God. Just talk about my gender identity. Forget the embarrassing trumpet stories.
We're not talking about the trumpet thing.
I came out specifically so you would all talk about that and not the trumpet story.
I mean, that's
is that what Identities is about?
That is actually what it's about. It really is just about something being very embarrassed, and he's like, you know what? I'm trans now. You'll talk about this.
Such an embarrassing childhood. I'm trans.
Just an extended intro about a trumpet.
Yeah.
You get a backstory for the trumpet itself as well.
Yeah. Can we get Aaron? Can we get Aaron back on? I need to tell her I'm changing the whole script. It's happening right now. But sorry, I'm just trying to like recenter. But yeah, thank you again for coming. I appreciate y'all being here.
Yeah, it's excellent.
So,
congrats on the series, or not the series, the show.
Yeah, thank you. And Jason, what are you filming right now? By the way, that you're like in an undisclosed location.
Well, I can disclose the location. I am in Oslo, so I have wanted to come here for a while. I haven't been here for years, but they've been doing so much stuff to improve the city. They've been removing parking spaces like crazy and putting tolls in and building bike lanes and all this stuff. So I wanted to come and see it, and yeah, I mean I found a cheap flight from Amsterdam, so I'm here just for 4 days and oh my God, it's a lot of work filming these videos. Sometimes I wonder why I don't just use stock footage like everybody else. But I've spent the last few days walking around for like 8 hours a day, filming about 300 gigabytes of video per day, and of like what's going on here. And I think I've got, in my head at least, I've got about 3 videos out of this. So yeah, this is how the sausage is made. It's good. It's really good. And wow, this is just a fantastic city. And I have to say, it's weird, like how little car traffic there is here. You know, like people keep saying, like, how do we fix traffic? I'm like, they literally fix traffic here. There's no traffic, even rush hour. I actually posted to the Oslo subreddit. I say, is there like a holiday today that I don't know about? Because there's so little traffic. And everyone was like, nope, this is normal. I'm like, damn it, you guys fix traffic.
Hi, Jessie.
How are you? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Jason. How are you? It's so good to see you.
No problem.
She can't hear the audio, so she didn't know you were talking.
Oh, nice. Did she see the waves at least?
Yeah.
Do you want to come over and say hi?
Come say hi.
Julia's here.
Julia, how are you? It's good to see you.
Hey,
It's been a
Julia.
hot minute.
Hi, Julia.
Missed you.
Missed you as well.
Jessie asked, how are you?
Good.
You're. Oh yeah, you can't hear me. It's good to
Here.
hear. Yes.
Oh.
It's-
There you go.
no, I want all of
Oh.
our conversations should be relayed through Dave at this point.
She's got an AirPod now.
No,
We're good.
I know.
We're good.
No, Julia, it's good to see you. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing very good. I've like.
Well, when are you coming here?
I hopefully soon. One would hope. I don't know. That would be on Dave. When are you having me there?
Whatever you want.
Yeah.
That door is open, Jesse.
All right. Well, I will be there sometime soon. I will make plans.
Come on out.
Yeah. But I also still, Julia, I still want you to like help me find like clothes and actually make me like actually
Fashion trip.
Exactly.
That's the goal.
Yeah. So, but yeah, hello. But yeah, Jason, I wanted to mention before we were talking, not to cut away too much from what you're saying, but I wanted to say what I love about your videos and what I love about like conversations that we had were the fact that like I love that you like talk about like how different like systems and urban planning sort of talks about how like different cultures and cities and places actually like can think about things in new ways than how we actually think about it today. Like we had like I think like a long conversation about like different ways that cities are set up, and I thought it was really cool, and it kind of matches what I was thinking about with like this project about how there are different ways to think about stuff than how we initially think about it.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. I've traveled so much and I've seen so many different places, and I want to share that with people. Well, exactly like this trip, like coming here and seeing it myself, because I don't believe in making videos just based off of what you read on Twitter and some Guardian articles or something like that. I want to see it for myself, and it's a lot of work. But it's actually really incredible to travel to all these different places to just see how things are done. And what's been amazing to me, like making the channel about when I talk about the Netherlands, is that when I talk to Dutch people, they don't know this stuff's different because they haven't been, to America or something, right? So I think that's what's really important, is just sharing how different things work at different parts of the world. Yeah, I mean it's fantastic. It's really eye-opening on all fronts.
Yeah.
Well, it's that normality bias. When you're so used to how things function, it becomes invisible. You're not even aware that it is a purposeful construct of society until someone says, it doesn't have to be this way. And you go, what?
You know what's been really funny to me about like when I talk to Europeans about almost any subject about like say America, because they've seen movies, right? So like they'll see movies and I'll tell them something, I'll be like, wait, that's real? I thought that was just a movie thing. Like for example, there was a really funny conversation I was having with some Dutch people about how there's like jocks and there are nerds, right? Like that's a concept, that there's jocks and nerds. And they were like, that's real? Like I really thought that was like a movie trope. Because they don't have that concept here.
It depends what generation you come from. Like,
yeah, for sure.
And also,
as the Jen said, that wasn't really a thing that we had. Like it was a movie thing for sure, but like there was a lot of nerdy sport people and
well, it's interesting too, because I also think like stuff like that reinforces how we think about like pop culture things reinforce like how kids are supposed to be in like social groups. Because one thing, I was having a conversation with somebody about I think it was Spider-Man Homecoming, and I have thoughts about the MCU generally, but what I liked about that movie specifically is how it was like a high school movie that showcased like kind of everyone getting along for the most part. Like even like Spider-Man's supposed bully in that movie is just like kind of just like a weird dork who like it's just kind of mean but still like part of the friend group. And I kind of liked that instead of it being like you get like Mean Girls where it's like super cliquey sort of stuff. And it's interesting how like pop culture sort of reinforces but then also reflects how we think about like the world that we live in and how all these things sort of bounce off of each other.
It's the creation of boxes, right? And once a box exists, people feel some draw to exist within it, to belong. Teenagers have a really strong impulse towards wanting to belong. So if you create an environment where the expectations that you fit within one of these boxes, not all teenagers, but a number of them will, to some degree, try to perform those boxes. So I worked as a coach for a very long time. So
No, but that makes
the sort of
total
thing
sense.
that you think
Yeah.
about when you're trying to make sure that you have a positive atmosphere is if you create an environment where certain behavior is expected and normalized, kids that might behave in a certain way in another context will behave very differently in that context.
Yeah. And
People
it's
naturally code switch
Well,
and
I
aren't
mean-
aware of it often.
I was gonna say Vera like speaks about this a lot.
If
too. I was
you
gonna
want-
throw it to you.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say, if you want to take that same concept and just apply it to something that obviously Jessie and I and Aaron are fairly familiar with, is just queerness and gender identity. There's a reason that people my age and older have a very strong tendency to discover themselves much, much, much later than Gen Z is proving to, because we didn't know all the boxes. And a lot of us probably went, like, even setting aside just being closeted, but a lot of us probably went through multiple gender identities, going through periods of thinking, oh, okay, that may not be exactly it, but I found a box and it's kind of close, so I guess I'm that. And simply not knowing what the options are. Like, I didn't discover the term gender fluid until I was 34 years old. And prior to that, I identified as a cis male crossdresser because that was the closest damn thing I had.
No,
If
it's
I can
it's
jump in,
lit-
'cause
oh,
I wrote an entire video about this.
I was gonna say I'm writing a video about that very same thing. But yeah, Aaron, please.
My film Queer Relativity, which actually got on the British Film Institute's top places of the year list
Hell yeah.
last year, which is cool.
Nice.
Is about this concept and the relationship between linguistic relativity and queer conception of the self, and that relationship with temporality. So and it's a thing of when you don't allow people to have the space and the knowledge to be able to label themselves accurately. It's not that those identities aren't what they have, it's just that they have no way of being able to discuss it. And that is part of the purpose of a lot of the current legislative action that is occurring in the US in particular, but also in the UK and to a much smaller extent Canada. So what you get is an attempt to erase access to books, access to knowledge, creation of art which directly engages with queerness, because if you can restrict the language, then people can't label themselves as something, and then you can say that it doesn't exist.
Exactly.
Right? It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. I didn't know about transness until I was, a young adult, and I still had all of those feelings, and I still had all that struggle in trying to understand myself. But it wasn't until I was friends with other trans people where I was learning things that I could actually begin to put a name to it. And people mistake that, right, ability to name yourself or understand your experience as conversion, which is become a very awful thing that they do a lot. But it's like, yeah, of course a person's only going to start calling themselves trans once they know what trans is.
Yes.
Like,
yeah, you can't.
You're not just going to invent the word.
Exactly.
Yeah, we have a shared language for this stuff now that we didn't have even, I think, 10 years ago. My understanding, and I get it, my position even on the call here is certainly, it's interesting because I'm the cishet white dude in a position of authority. And I'm comfortable with who I am, but I think that if the language had been different when I was growing up, I wouldn't have ended up in a different place, but I think my journey getting here would have been a little bit different. The way I think about things would have been a little bit different, because there are certainly thoughts that I've had or feelings I've had or experiences I've had that I didn't know, as you say, what box to put those in or how to process these things or how to think about these things. And when I look around now, I'm so inspired by the people from within the queer community, the trans community, because there's when the destination, for me, the destination I end up arriving to is kind of the path of least resistance, right? It is easy to end up here, or it is easy for a person who has ended up here relative to a person who's ended up in a different place. And at the same time, I've never felt a special like affinity for sports or a lot of traditionally masculine activities. So like, if your spectrum is either you are gay or you are straight and you don't like sports, it's a lot harder to contextualize. Well, who am I?
Yeah.
Is there something to like people calling me these names? How should I think about myself? And so for like the Gen Z kids being able to process these things with a much wider range of shared vocabulary, probably a lot healthier for everybody.
Yeah,
What
and I
is
was also
the reality for? Oh, sorry, Jesse.
Oh, sorry, just to cut in, because there's a few things I actually want to say on that too. Like, sadly he couldn't make it because he was planning on being here, but some stuff came up. But Foreign Man, who's a wonderful creator who I adore to death.
He's great.
He's one of the
Awesome.
loveliest humans. Chat, please send some love to Foreign Man in a Foreign Land because he is amazing and a fantastic creator who you should all subscribe to.
He really is.
Sadly not able to be
one of the best people.
But he made a great video that I adored where he sort of because in our society today we sort of take as a given like, oh, you're a straight dude, and that we don't really question that assumption, and you only come to like have to reckon with that if you are seen outside of that box, and you have to sort of like sit there and think about it and actually come to reckon with that. And he did a really great video where he said, am I a straight man? And he actually sat and like analyzed his own journey to being like, am I straight? And like going out and like seeing like, well, am I attracted to dudes? Am I not? And it wasn't a way of like, there wasn't like a sense of self-emasculation or like denying himself. It was just like a journey of exploring something that we take as a given. And I thought he did such a wonderful job in that video. So I wanted to shout that out. And then just to talk about the thing that I'm promoting here is Identities is quite literally about this. Like the whole idea of the whole short film is about people who are told that they have to be one thing or another, that they have like a choice, quote unquote, to be able to be something, but the two choices aren't fitting who they are anyways. And so it's about how do we define ourselves when we have to live in a system that tells us that these are the only ways to define yourself and you don't fit in either of those boxes. I think
like what do you call yourself when you're 97% straight?
Yeah, exactly. No,
and like I talk about this at the end of queer relativity, but this is why I don't like the idea that you need to be labeled or that you need to put yourself in a box. I don't like the idea of boxes. That's why I approach labels not as a taxonomy, you know, because I think a lot of people approach it as a taxonomy. Like they treat it like you're like, I diagnose you with this species.
You are this
identity. It's about using words to communicate something to other people. It's a tool, not a box. And when you can engage with that, it can help you to better conceptualize yourself. And this is why I think it's really important that cis people, and you talked about this a little bit, Dave, there, but that even if you are not queer, engaging with that conversation with yourself will give you a better understanding what your identity means to yourself. In your case, what being a man means. My friend Turb just released a video called The Gasification of Masculinity, which I actually edited, and Foreign's in it as well. There's a lot of really good conversation between Foreign, FT Signifier, and Turb, and
that's a great video too.
And Fantastic Fox. It's a great video, and a lot of that is exploring that aspect of re-examining and redefining masculinity in a modern context from a marginalized perspective. And I think Identities as a project, and like what Jessie and I have discussed around it, is about exploring a lot of these concepts, which is partly why I took the conversation in this direction. But I'm going to make sure I'm going to cut in for a second. Sorry. We have a lot of other guests that need to come on, so I'm going to shuffle people out. I'm really sorry. In like 2 minutes. So final thoughts from everybody on this conversation, and then I'm booting you.
It's almost 10:30 p.m. here for me anyway.
Yeah.
So it's probably good.
All right.
But Vera,
who wants to go first?
Vera, you had a thing.
I was just going to say, I had a conversation on a podcast a few years ago, and the person who I was talking to I forget the exact statistic now, but it was something like from Southern California, and it was like 30% of high school students were identifying as some form of queer gender identity. And that was presented to me as if something I should be concerned about. My immediate response to that was great. And even when the other person came back, like, but a lot of them are going to end up not holding to that identity. So I think one of the healthiest things anyone can do is to take something that they are certain about themselves and just question it. Worst case scenario, you're going to end up right back where you start, but you'll understand why you're there, and you'll know it's not by default. Why is that a harmful concept?
Exactly. No, I
Aren't
always
we
tell,
supposed to learn and explore?
Exactly. I always tell
You
people.
would think so.
I always tell
would-
people
yeah.
whenever people, because I get a lot of people asking me advice about like, Jesse, I think I might be trans. What do I do? Or like things, because I get messages like that. And the thing I always say is like, give your chance the grace to explore. You do not have to be one thing. Play with stuff, and if you just like, you go like, try like wearing these clothing, or try expressing yourself these ways, or try using these pronouns, and it's okay if at the end of the day you're like, doesn't actually fit. It's about finding who you are. It's about like discovering yourself, and that's the journey of life. Life is about that discovery, and it only becomes a problem when we exist in a world that forces us to be certain ways, or says that you're less than if you are deviating from the quote unquote norm in any way.
Yeah, and there's
on that, which
go ahead.
Well, Aaron, I don't want to cut you off, but I want to make sure other
no.
folks get a chance to speak.
Absolutely, just like literally 2 seconds. Identity is a journey for one, and then two, I think the harm that they see is the terrifying concept that they might be other. Because they understand hating the other to some degree. Even if they maybe don't personally engage a ton with that hate, they understand that hate exists. And it's sort of that thing of, if you stare into the abyss, it's like, that might tell me something, and I don't want to. It's the terrifying aspect of knowing the self, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna be quiet now.
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. I just want to make sure anyone else, Matt or Jason, or Discord.
No, I just before I get booted, I wanted to mention, this isn't the same thing, but I think there's an important parallel to be drawn to the world of like neurodiversity, because I'm autistic.
Me as well, yeah.
And this happens a lot where like I've had a lot of friends reach out and be like, hey, I think I might be autistic, and I'll talk to them about it and send them some resources, and sometimes they'll be like, yeah, okay, I think I am, and sometimes they won't. But like, this is something that I didn't really come to terms with about myself until my mid-20s. Like, it was something I knew, like, that I had a diagnosis from earlier, from like my teen years, but like for a lot of my like young adult life, there was this period where I was just like, oh, I'm really bad at a lot of things, and like I'm weird in these ways that I can't pin down, and there's just a lot of things that don't quite make sense to me about the way that I interact with the world. And then I think it was like around like 2015, 2016, I was like, you know what? I'm autistic. I know this about myself. Maybe that means something, and maybe and being able to use that to sort of figure out, I get to figure out myself and to figure out how I wanted to interact with the world, and take all of these things that I couldn't explain and just tuck them neatly in this one little label. And obviously my autistic experience is not going to be the same as anyone else's, but it's still been very helpful to be able to ask that question about myself and to be able to find that answer about myself.
I agree. And one thing that I'll keep this brief so we can get to other people, but one thing that I want to do a video on at some point is about the connection between neurodiversity and transness, because there is there is a correlation between people who are trans and people who are on the autism spectrum, like myself. And a lot of people.
The statistics show a correlation between coming out young.
Yes, and
being autistic.
Well, the thing. Well,
it's important.
That's what. That's. No. And but the reason. No, I hear you. And the reason that is clear, people will use it to stigmatize trans and say, oh, it's da-da-da-da-da, like they'll try to like delegitimize someone's transness. But the way that I think about it is that I don't think there's like more folks that happen to be autistic and trans. It's more that people who are on the autism spectrum or neurodiverse in some way often have to see ourselves at a distance from how we fit into the world because our brains are not like set up in the way that, you know, society rewards. And because of that, they are also able to see how like trans people who are also autistic or neurodivergent will also have like that chance to be like, oh, I might also be this thing. And because they already have that sort of like distance to look at the world. And it
just makes it harder to be someone you're not. And so
it's a couple of combinations, which is less care about societal expected role performance. That's one aspect of autism is just baseline.
Yeah.
But two, that when we talked about earlier the fear of being the other, if you're already the other, it's what are you gonna lose?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
Well, I want to throw to Matt and Jason and Dave and Vera just to sort of promote themselves and say what you're doing, who you are again for everybody, because everybody in chat, these are all everyone on screen right here. Except for Vera, who's awful. I literally do. Everyone on screen right now is absolutely amazing and wonderful, and I adore each and every one of them. And you should all support them. And also, Dave, I'm sending again a thank you to you for supporting me, supporting this project, and supporting doing this. I know you're about to say like, "Oh, it just made sense because that's what Nebula does," but it really does mean a lot.
Actually, my final thought on this actually ties really well with what Corey was just saying about the connection between neurodivergence and transness or queerness or whatever. Because I've been thinking a lot lately about the things about us that other people can see and the things about us that other people can't see. I have a hearing disability, which doesn't manifest as not being able to hear as well. It manifests as it's called hyperacusis. Certain sounds, volumes, or certain frequencies will cause me pain, and this leads to a number of awkward social situations where I have to like choose a different seat, or I can't go to a certain restaurant, or there's all this stuff. And because it's not a visible disability, it's the sort of thing I just kind of come off as being a fussy jerk sometimes, and I know
how you feel.
Yeah.
Corey's like, yeah, you do.
It makes it really nice to go to dinners that Dave plans, because those things bother me too, being autistic, and so I know I won't have to deal with them.
So you mean they won't have the band like at Margaritaville?
Oh God!
Oh God! Yeah.
That's a story.
I've been thinking about this a lot lately because in the framework, we just did all this stuff for the Prince, and then I had Abby on my podcast, and we spent a bunch of time together that week. And I've been thinking a lot about like, why is it that I feel so strongly about things like supporting certain types of creators, marginalized groups, and this sort of thing. And I think that it comes down to there are things about ourselves that we can understand or process because that's how other people see us. If you're missing a leg, then other people can see that you're missing a leg. And there's not a ton of conversation to be had there. This is a thing, it is understood, we all move on. If there are things about yourself that are harder to explain, you kind of have to make choices about what you share about yourself to the other, what you choose to telegraph to the rest of the world. I may feel this gender identity. Is it worth the headache of transmitting that, telegraphing that to the world? Yeah. I may have these thoughts or feelings about this kind of social situation. Is it worth telegraphing that to the world? And unlike, now I don't want to I'm picking extreme examples, but things that are visible, you don't really have that choice. When you have the choice, I'm not saying it's better or worse, but it is different, because then you have to sort of explore not just who you are, but what you're willing to admit that you are to others, which will affect what you can admit you are to yourself. And so there's this connection, I think, sort of between like the way I see and feel things socially, the way I literally will hear things, and the way I think about things like disability or mental health. And I feel that there's such a through line here of trying to process and understand who you are, that maybe there is like, I have more empathy or more of an understanding, or I want to support people who struggle with those same sorts of problems, even if they don't manifest necessarily in the same way that mine do. So it's so cool to get to support projects like this, or to work with creators who don't look like me, or don't sound like me, or don't see the world exactly the same way I do, because so much of that is the battle within, and I can identify with the battle within.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very much agreed.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I'm really excited we get to do this with each other.
I am
amazing.
Sorry.
Yeah. On the stream. I'm gonna move people out just so that we can get other guests in.
Yeah.
Well,
So lightning round.
Kick me out.
We got so many people that want to come in here.
Yeah. Lightning round.
I'm just
gonna say one.
Feel bad that I have to be the mean person, because
No.
No.
My only thing is, I think this conversation. I think this conversation about the film itself that we're here to sort of celebrate its announcement of is really wonderful. To the points of all like not having terminology growing up. I'm like 296 years old, so like I didn't like the way that the conversation has changed is absolutely sort of wonderful, and this is like another beautiful step in that. I think this project is going to do a lot to just keep that vernacular and everything sort of moving forward in that. So Jessie, congratulations. I'm looking forward to seeing this, and thanks for letting me hang out and chat with y'all.
Thank you for being here. You are awesome, and I'm so glad that I've gotten to know you over the past few months. You are amazing and wonderful and an amazing human being.
Come to the East Coast.
Yes. Let's see. So I think Aaron X gonna bring stuff. Is there anyone? Jason, why don't you promote yourself, and Vera, promote yourself before we all disappear.
All right. Well, I don't really feel the need to promote myself. I'm happy to just be here to promote your.
I want to promote you. I just want everyone to know that cool people do cool things. So
if you want to be angry about the city you live in and learn to hate things you didn't even know you needed to hate, then
I mean, I live in LA, so yes.
Yeah. Oh God, believe me, having lived in LA, dear Lord. Anyways.
I never lived in LA, but I did live in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I can remember a few times when I drove through LA, and it was just like, how could people live like this? Like I was in traffic for 8 hours once, like 8 full hours, and I'm like, what are we doing? Like, does nobody look at this and think like, fuck, we're doing it all wrong? But no, they don't.
Yeah.
Oh well.
I don't think I could live here if I didn't work from home, but.
Yeah,
I'm starting to think Jason doesn't like cars.
Maybe. I drive too, man. You know, I just not too many of them. You need fewer cars, smaller cars, and drive slower, and then we're all right.
Vera, you also promote yourself, and then you should probably rotate people out. So.
Yeah.
So you just want me to go through my stuff routine at this point?
Do stuff. I don't know. I'm trying my best. I just want people to be promoted and be lovely and amazing. Sorry.
It's fine. If folks don't know what we're referencing, at the end of the Jumpgate podcast on the Council of Geeks podcast network, which Jessie and I do together, we just go, we'll promote your stuff. Anyways, my stuff, Council of Geeks on YouTube. You will find video essay style content on queer topics as well as general geeky topics. I talk about Doctor Who a lot. But if you are interested in things more singularly focused on my experiences as a gender fluid person and or some spicy content, you can look for Vera Wild spelled WYLDE, YouTube, TikTok, some place that's only meant for a certain kind of person, fans, I think they're called. I don't know. Around. Check it out.
Sweet. Awesome. Hell yeah. All right. Love you all. Rotate people.
Cheers.
I adore you all. Thank you for being amazing. Thank you for being here, and you are all lovely.
Disappear. Smoke.
Thanks, Jessie. Good luck with everything.
All right, who are we bringing on? Oh God, it's like the Brady Bunch. You just wave for a while.
We'll just keep waving until I'm gone.
Oh. I did the wrong thing. I kicked instead of disconnected.
Oh no!
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
I think you're fine.
1 second. I need to re-invite Vera back.
Oh no!
I'm so sorry. I clicked the wrong button. I'm mad at my job.
No, you're doing great. You're doing great.
Invite Vera back to the server. I'm so sorry.
Oh no! I mean, Vera, I can. Vera's wrapping. Anyways, but let's bring some people on. Hello. So many new people.
There we go.
Hello.
We've all been beamed up.
Because they'll be turned off
when
you join.
Yep, the cameras.
There we go.
Welcome.
Hello.
How goes everybody?
We've been beamed from the green room to the live room.
Hi, Jessie. Long time, first time.
Yeah, I know. It's one of those weird moments. Sorry, I'm just seeing so many people. I'm just like, we have spoken. All of us have spoken before, at least in some way, shape, or form. But I've never actually interacted with you with voices and actually get to like have responses in real time. Hello. It's the weird parasocial / we're all YouTubers thing.
My Star Trek companion.
Exactly. How you doing? And also introduce yourselves. Let everyone know who you are. Tristan? Why don't we? Since you mentioned Star Trek, I will give you the floor first.
The Star Trek privilege. My name is Tristan. I'm a history YouTuber, and I've been a really big fan of Jessie since Jessie's channel was itty bitty, and so I'm very happy to see all the things she's doing.
Oh yeah. And I love your videos. You do great videos on politics, and you are amazing. But Lily, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hello, everyone. Took me a minute to realize we were actually live there, but I guess I'm talking to like 400 people.
You are.
My name is Lily Alexander. I am a filmy, righty kind of lady, I guess. I do videos on art, gender, kind of like how all this interacts with technology, social media. And I am such a fan of Jessie, so I'm so happy to be here.
I adore your work. Everyone should. If you like my stuff, you will love Lily's stuff. Like some of the best content that I've seen. Your video on like aging and transness is gorgeous and beautiful, and I love it.
That video meant a lot to me. Thank you for it. Like seriously.
Thanks, y'all. That's so sweet.
Who wants to go next? Thomas, if you want to go next.
Hi, I'm Thomas. I think we've interacted in the Slack.
We have, yeah.
For people who don't know me, I'm also part of Nebula. I make a lot of nerdy videos about Notion and programming and stuff. And yeah, just very excited for this whole stream and the whole project. I saw some of the behind the scenes stuff in your original launch video, and I was like trying to spot a bunch of the tech you were using. So just very excited for this whole project.
Oh, thank you so much. And I adore your stuff. I almost never understand it half the time because I'm like, techie stuff is like, I'm a nerd, but not that kind of nerd, but I also adore everything you do. And it's great to officially like meet you and say hi outside of Slack spaces.
Likewise. Yeah, I'm into the techie stuff and then you're into the Trekkie stuff. But I have seen a little bit of DS9.
Good. That is that honestly, if you're gonna say anyone, that's the one I'd be like, good. You've hit the best one.
That's how I hooked my wife.
So far. Is it?
Yeah. It's the best and worst intro. Speaking of intros, maybe we should finish those first.
Yes, Daniel. Hello.
Did someone say nerdy stuff? I'm here to represent this as far as into the nerdy stuff as you can. So hi, my name is Dan. What do I do? I make videos on programming. But in theory, what I try to do is look at the fun, creative side of programming and allow people to play and experiment, express themselves through code beyond just the depths of computer science things. So so the channel's called The Coding Train. I also teach classes at NYU in the same topic, and I am thrilled to be here. I was so excited to hear about this project. I was so excited to hear that Nebula is supporting and producing this project. So anything I can do to participate and help and cheer from the sidelines, I'm just thrilled.
Well, I'm so glad to have you here, and it was great to like officially meet you way back
Yes.
at the Nebula event. It's great to have you here, and
Yeah.
thank you for joining last minute. By the way, it was great to have you.
Of course.
Yeah. And Jeffrey, good to see you.
Hey, how you doing?
Thank you for being here.
Absolutely. You just kicked out my co-partner in crime, Matt, so figured, we had to get a little more extra credits in here.
Get the representation. Hello, welcome. Also, I love your background, by the way. It's freaking nerdy as all hell.
I've been a video game designer since the late 90s and have worked on so many games. There is no way I cannot have an entire background full of nerdy stuff.
Yeah, I saw some of the games you've worked on, and when I was a little kid, I used to watch my dad play EverQuest. So.
Oh, that was my very first commercial game.
Oh my god! I see.
That's awesome.
Really?
I was
so I
not.
saw it, I was like, oh my god!
I was not allowed to buy
3-year-old
EverQuest.
me watching.
My mom wouldn't let me play EverQuest because like it was like internet stuff, and it's like, no, you can't touch that. That's dangerous.
if people in chat don't know, EverQuest was like WoW before WoW released.
It was the first 3D MMO and was the biggest in the world up until WoW came out.
God dang.
So from about 99 through 05, I think.
I remember.
That sounds right.
I remember as a kid, I would literally like go to like the computer game section. It was like the StarCraft battle chest, and then EverQuest above it. And then I was like always like look at that, and it was a lot of fun. But yeah, legitimately, my mom was like, "You're not allowed to touch that because you'll meet strangers on the internet."
Oh, remember the
I think
days?
it was the same for us.
Yeah.
The internet is a dangerous place. Do not go.
Are we
there.
going to talk about Ultima next? Because that was my game.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
For Ultima Online, the lead designer is Raf Coster, who also lives in San Diego, like 20 miles from me. We
Oh wow.
do together.
Oh.
That's awesome.
I grew up with a cousin who was about 15 years older than me. And he kind of was like an older brother, but there was like he was an Asheron's call head, and I remember being like 7 years old, and every time being like, "Are you done for the day? Can I go? Can I just go mess around, not knowing anything about how games work?"
Yeah,
That was the three. It was Ultima Online, Asheron's Call, and EverQuest. Asheron's Call, the lead designer was Toby Reganey, and I worked with him on another game, The Matrix Online.
Oh, speak of the devil. Yeah.
I remember that
The
game.
Matrix Online. That's so cool.
You just mentioned the Matrix in a transgender stream. You might have a problem.
This is huge. I'm gonna carry you out of here.
I made a video called the Matrix is intrinsically trans.
Yeah.
Oh God, is that like a year and a half ago?
Yeah,
Jesse,
I think so.
yeah,
I think so.
it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You might have just become the hero of the entire stream.
You guys get a better hero than me. I will say the Wachowskis were super cool in person, like the 2 times I met them.
Yeah.
And it was really funny because they wanted the story they wanted in that video game. Like I was helping out because I was leading a DC Comics game, but the Matrix was the sister team, so I got pulled in to like help on things. And they're like, "We want to write the story, but we don't have time." We're like, "Well, how you want to do that?" They're like, "Can we pick a writer?" And the team was like, "Sure, pick any writer you want." And they picked a guy named Paul Chadwick, who's pretty famous comic book writer, and picked him. And then he came over to the studio, and he's like, "Cool, I'm gonna write a story." He's like, "How do games work?" And we're like, "Oh no."
Oh God. Oh God.
Yeah. No. And writing for games is totally different structure-wise. You have to really think about it in a different way.
Especially because in an MMO, there is no main character.
Yeah.
Like every writer is used to writing for a main character, and now you have to write something where thousands of people are the main character.
And it's about like discovering yourself like through the experiences that you like set up for people in that game to like be their own person, but also like sort of like guide them through the path.
Well, in the case of Matrix Online, because a lot of newer MMOs just kind of do this thing where all of the players are kind of basically the same character functionally, story-wise. But Matrix Online actually had all these really interesting components of player actions and factions would dictate what would occur with the story. And I really wish that more MMOs would go back to that format because
it's fun. It's just
so cool.
expensive to do.
Yeah.
Because you have to be able to branch your story at a moment's notice. Well, plan for it.
Yeah. I did a video recently for GameSpot where I talked about consent in gaming, and it was mainly about like sex and consent and how sex and consent is presented in games. But one of the discussions that I had towards the end of that video was about like the consent between the developers and the player, because the developers are literally building the world that the player is in, and so like what choices are you allowing the player to have or not have is also like a form of building like consent, because you're literally building the framework of the world that you're in and offering the choices that framework is built in. Which, sorry to bring it back to the thing, but it's literally about identities. It's exactly what Identities is about. It's about like people building worlds and then offering choices within the worlds that they built and making it seem like it's a natural and normal part of it. And so that's a cool. It's just an interesting. I love the way that games allow us to like think about our own society and structure, and to talk about the book that I referenced that the film is about, Glitch Feminism. It's using the metaphor of like coding and computers to talk about how we can break systems, and how like trans people or people who are seen outside the norm, neurodiverse people, people of color are like corruptions of this code, because the system isn't inherently built for us. It's not really built for any human being, but we are all told to like fit these functions. And so I love like thinking about video games in exactly that same sort of way, and how it sort of ties into all of these ideas. I think this is actually a weird, like really good panel to like have that sort of discussion, considering there's people who are coding and like queer and gaming folks. So yeah, I think it's just a cool way to frame it.
I think it's an interesting thing too, just in general media analysis. I think games particularly draw an eye to the artificiality of the world. I think one of the most frustrating poor forms of media analysis I see sometimes is where people will self-justify writing choices because it was a writing choice. They'll be like, well, there's a reason in world why it's that way, whatever the thing is. And it's like, well, no, someone sat down and chose to make it that way. And they do this a lot to justify bigotry in particular within writing. someone will go, hey, this writing trope is anti-Semitic, racist, transphobic, etc. And someone will respond with, well, the world was designed, like that's just how the world, as if the artificial story is in and of itself natural. And I think it's a really interesting thing to examine because it highlights that is the same thinking underlying a lot of the current social constructs we live under right now, that people view as natural when they are artificial.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of the discussion that can happen around, bias and harm in machine learning and AI, where you can get this argument.
I'm a machine learning specialist, so this is like my shit. This is my shit.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, I don't have a huge amount of domain expertise here, but it's just one of the things that I always like to think about or push back against is this idea like, oh no, this is just a technology or it's an algorithm. It's inherently neutral because it's just math and it's such a everything is made and built by people with a set of biases and thoughts and experience, and no tool is neutral. And I think that is something that I think there's a lot of crossover there into what we're talking
quite
about.
Literally my last video, actually the video where I announced this project in, is called I had a slightly different name for it, but I was testing a different one, so it's called How AI Trains Humans on Pseudoscience. And it's quite literally the video was about specifically an app made by a gender critical and feminist who made
I remember we talked about this.
Where it was an app that used bone structure to determine if you're a woman to let you into the app. And it's like, so phrenology then. and how it's given it's given itself a sense of legitimacy. Like, people view it as legitimate because AI said it was legitimate, but it's based upon the same human biases that we program into it.
I mean, AI is just what we feed it.
And they're not AI. They're just algorithms. They aren't thinking. They aren't making decisions. They are purely responsive to the data that you give them, which is where the concept garbage in, garbage out. I saw a couple people in chat bringing that up. But it's so important because the difference and what gets classified as an AI, and we aren't even close to it. And there's a lot of debate if it's even conceptually possible with our current. Basically, the primary limiter right now is actually not software but hardware. We can't make complex enough machines that are large enough and fast enough to remotely begin to even say that we're somewhere close to simulating a intelligence. And that doesn't make and the problem is that in the context of AI, the field, not an object, not a noun, but the field of research is we call things intelligent within a relative context. So when you're given an algorithm, we call it intelligent if it solves the things it's supposed to solve to a certain degree within its value metric. My favorite story about this, and I'll be quiet after I give the story because I'm talking too much, but is from one of my profs back in the 90s when they were doing the first rounds of image processing machine learning work. And they, because digital photo sets were pretty rare, what they had was basically pictures of military vehicles from the USSR and from the United States. This is actually a Canadian research team at the university I currently attend. And so they run it. They get a 98% accuracy. I think, sorry, it was exactly 98.2. Is it 3 or 7? One of those numbers. But and they're like, that's too good. There's no way that this is working this well. What the hell's going on? Because machine learning is basically black box. We don't really know exactly what's going on. And the level that we're at where we're running neural nets and things that are very complicated is trying to determine what that black box is doing is nearly impossible. Not impossible, but it's so unfeasible and time consumptive and exhausting that most people are never going to bother it. But they start manually looking at all the data. It's a lot of data to manually look at. And they realize that the reason it's getting a 98% accuracy rating is that it's not classifying the tanks it's supposed to classify as American or Russian. It's classifying the color of the sky. Because 98.7% of the American tanks were shot under bright blue skies out in the deserts. And 97.9% of the Russian tanks were shot with gray, cloudy skies. And so they got this amazing amazing accuracy thing, and it was returning the data they wanted.
But what it was doing was not what it was supposed to do because it doesn't think.
Yeah.
And
That's
now
good.
This
imagine
reminds
that
me.
Yeah,
and apply that to human beings.
Oh yes.
Thomas, you.
Oh
I
my
remember.
God.
I was just saying, I read a study recently about like the same result where they were trying to identify or train a neural net to identify I guess moles on skin that would be cancerous. And so every single picture they fed it had a ruler in the picture. And then all the healthy skin, of course, doesn't have a ruler because you're not measuring the size of the mole. So you just train this neural net to say, oh, anything with a ruler in it is cancerous.
Oh no!
Oh my God.
Oh no!
People don't realize these problems because not enough info is out there, which I appreciate that there's people like Dan out there teaching about these aspects, because there is so little understanding about computer science and so much interaction with it on a daily basis.
Yeah. Dan,
If I could,
I've been like,
sorry.
Lily was saying something.
Sorry. Jesse, you were talking about that app that was supposedly like restricted to, I don't know what you would say, cis women, basically.
Yeah. Cis white women will even be
yes.
clear. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. So I don't know if you talk about this. I haven't seen your video yet, but I tried to join the app, and for those who don't know in the chat, I'm a trans woman. And it let me in, no problem. And then I went to scroll the other users, and every single other one was another trans woman doing it as a bit.
Yeah, it's hilarious. No, it became a meme. It became quite lit.
Yeah.
That's how I learned about the story to write about, is because it was a meme in the trans community, because it literally is like a pass-fail test of, do I pass the turf test to get in? But it's also fascinating because it denied what it was denying is it was actually more denying people of color, specifically Black women, because of the way it was favoring like sort of stereotypical beauty norms that are often found in like white women, also particularly like white women of certain means who are able to keep like up a certain like look and body regimen and things like that, because the person who made it herself was also doing that. And also something too that was interesting too, that just an interesting quirk of the story. So the video went up accidentally last week because of all this stuff going on with this, because I was originally going to announce this project as a Kickstarter, and the video went live for about an hour last week. But during that hour, the lady who runs that app heard about the video and tweeted about it. And in the video, in the tweet, she's like, Jessie called me a racist, white supremacist, and all these things. I'm like, no, what I was saying quite literally in the video and make very clear is we in our society, because of a lot of our invisible systems that we build upon our entire culture around, is built upon privileging cisgender folks, white folks, certain like beauty standards as well. And when we get confronted with that, we have to sort of like realize that, as like understand that that's the bias that's inherent in the system, and sort of like deal with that. But some people don't want to like think that they can accidentally contribute to these systems, so they have like a cognitive dissonance in their brain, and they'll sort of reject that, say, I can't be a bad person, so these people must be calling me a racist or white supremacist because they hate me as a woman or whatever. And then they'll double down on transphobia in order to just like justify in their own brain. And in her own tweet, it was literally, she said, oh, Jessie called me a white supremacist racist, but in no way are men really women. Again, referring to like trans women being men. And it was just funny, because it's like, so you're just doing the thing that I said in the video that you were doing, and I was really hoping she'd become self-aware and like listen to it, but it's like, no, she just did the thing that I said that she was doing.
That
it
tracks.
Very funny.
You're saying that in the same way that the programs are not actually self-aware.
Yeah,
the programs are also not self-aware.
Exactly, because we tend to view these systems, as all of our things in our culture, as like normal, and like this is the normal way to be, the normal way to exist, when in actuality, like, we built these systems that way. And again, bring it back to video games, it's the same idea in video games. Like, you build the artificial worlds that we make, and we view that as like, these are the rules of the world, and we see that as the normal rules of the world that you make, but we are able to understand that there's like different worlds that we can enter because of the artificiality of games, which I think as we become more and more, again, to bring it back to identities, like as we become more and more like understanding like the digital world as like a primary way for us all to interact as we're doing now, like there will be certain like assumptions made that people will start to take as natural that don't necessarily need to be the case.
And that's why the Matrix Online is good.
And that is our TED Talk about the Matrix Online.
No, but bringing it to the Matrix and Baudrillard, like I think one of the failings of Baudrillard's criticisms in some ways is that, you know, he believed that the map was surpassing the territory rather than understanding that at this point there are several layers of maps and they're all interrelated, but they're not perfectly over top of each other, and they cover areas of the territory differently. And there's such a deeply interweaved element of online life and IRL, and they aren't really as separate as people think or want them to be. And part of wanting to make them, I think separate is that it makes it more comfortable. Like that's it is an uncomfortable thing to have to deal with, the fact that the stuff you say and do online has a real world impact. And I think part of that discomfort for a lot of people is that they use the anonymity of the internet to maybe do some questionable behavior. I did.
I love Dave just photobombing Thomas the entire time.
This heavy talk.
Let's talk about biases as Dave's just like, hi, hello.
It's so important to understand that like these are not separate worlds, and it's why I think the Matrix Resurrections is such an interesting addendum conversation with criticism of and response to the first Matrix video. I definitely haven't been writing a giant script about it for like 2 years.
Well, I wanted to interrupt you. I want to toss it to the programmer folks and like game maker folks. And I'm curious like what your thoughts are about this. Like I know Dan, you teach this stuff, and all of us kind of teach in our own ways to a degree. But I'm curious to see how you see any of this stuff sort of coming up in like the next generation of programmers and how they're thinking about it, or any of you sort of are thinking about it, because that's what always kind of excites me, is like seeing, you know, as a trans person, it's like, oh, I look at younger folks and like, wow, they have so many words and terms and ways of thinking about stuff that I never would have had. And I'm curious if that's like related in programming and coding and you know, the nerddoms that I am not a part of, but I'm like, oh, you're smarter nerds than I am.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly a huge part of the discussion in the classes that I teach. I mean, it's always tricky because, you know, I so much want and enjoy having conversations around the sort of theory of computing and what are the applications and what do they mean? What's the social impact of all the things we're doing? But also, if I'm being honest, some of the students are there and the course is designed to really be very nuts and bolts oriented. So that finding that balance and striking that balance for me is is tricky. I would say like where it comes up even more is just what I've seen in the sort of open source world over the years, and how closed and impossible and kind of toxic some of those communities have been. And you know, to be optimistic, I'm involved with some different open source projects that have really done wonderful work in bringing in new voices and you know, really focusing more on the community and then the kind of code base itself. So that's something that I'm very interested in and that I love to think about and talk about, but I could go on for too long about.
Somewhat this weird thing where it is either the worst or the best of the programming world. Like it really is, because it can draw any group of people, and especially if the project is started by certain types of people, and there is an unfortunate number of far-right people within the computer science world, that you get those really unfortunate situations sometimes. I really appreciate that you talk about like trying to centralize having those conversations about social impacts. I know that a lot of universities have been receiving, like even just thinking about the one that I attend, because I used to work for the head of the department, so I was privy to a lot of random stuff behind the scenes. Like have been realizing, oh, we really need to start teaching ethics, like really focusing in on ethics. That's why like my prof for AI and machine learning, I'm not going to say who it is because I don't want to dox myself or him, but my prof for machine learning and AI, like the first 3 classes before you get to any nuts and bolts stuff is purely a discussion of the philosophy and ethics of what we're doing, data ethics and that sort of thing. and this was appreciated when I started working for the department that they mandated additional ethics training that was specific for working there. But the industry at large is very behind on doing anything related to that, unfortunately.
If I could ask,
Go
oh,
ahead.
sorry. So I do not know any amount of programming. I had a computer class in 8th grade. I made the background of a website red, and I think that was all. Honestly, it was a rush.
No, that was a genuine. Like that should be celebrated.
I made a Star Trek website on GeoCities for my fan fiction. That was my extent of
Yes!
knowledge.
That absolutely
GeoCities is where I started too.
Oh hell yeah! You can. I think the website's still. If you find the website, it is now all broken and formatting. I tried to make it look like a Star Trek L-Cars thing, and it is awful, and my writing is awful. But it exists if people wish to find it. Anyways, I interrupted you. Really,
Thick as hell. Thank you for interrupting. Yeah, so I guess I was just wondering. So my image of the open source world would be kind of like the idealistic image people tend to have of like Wikipedia. You know, like this place totally without profit motive. It must be like a super collaborative, friendly community. Why do you think it isn't sometimes?
Well, there
like
isn't-
why?
It's not exclusively lacking in profit motives, and part of the cutthroat things that happen sometimes is related to profit motives specifically. I would say often the open source spaces that are the best are the ones least engaged in profit and most engaged in charity. Maybe charity is not the right word, but I'm going to call it mutual aid is probably a more
General
accurate
good.
term to use. But
Sure.
people hear charity and they kind of get what I'm talking about. But there's a lot of things that have been built out of hackathons and things like that space, where the reason it is open source is because they want it to be available to everyone because it is helping people.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's other spaces that are very weird.
I also want to toss it.
Do you
to
feel
Thomas.
like-
Yeah, sorry. I cut you off, Thomas. I was literally about to
Oh,
toss it to you. So.
I was just going to ask, do you feel like projects like React, that come from Meta, like those are examples of open source projects that are more meant to raise the prestige of the company where they were developed?
Yeah, I mean, it's complicated. Like, I mean, React Elements is a very functional set of. This is getting like as someone who's done the main two things I've done. It's a very weird combo: is machine learning and AI, and front end UI UX design, and website stuff professionally.
I feel like it's not a super weird combo.
But it is and it isn't. Like yeah, and because I've had to learn some database stuff, but I would never call myself a database specialist. And
Dan, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, one thing that I would say is that I think it's really challenging to build community in a positive and welcoming and inclusive way, especially when the actual work of the community is highly technical and can be off-putting and intimidating. And so I think, sometimes there's maybe bad actors and some maliciousness, but I think there's a lot of projects are not set up in a way where the priority is let's make this very friendly to beginners who could feel like they could both use the tool as well as contribute to the tool. I think that separation that is often emphasized as like, no, we're the maintainers, we're the programmers, we're the developers, you're the users, is what often will cause that. And so if you come in and you're new and you don't know, am I supposed to like file a GitHub issue or post to this forum, or if I don't use the right vocabulary, somebody's going to yell at me. That kind of stuff really goes on. And there are just I don't know, like one of the organizations
I was thinking about the worst stuff, but that is a very common issue.
Yeah.
100%.
And so
you gotta have good standards, but like.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I would add is that I think a lot of organizations are really thinking about this now, is that open source has for a very long time been the domain of people who have the privilege to be able to volunteer their time on the evenings and weekends to work on all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And not everybody is able to do that. People and so that really restricts who is sort of welcome and able to participate in a valuable way. So, so I think that's something like building structures where people can be paid and compensated and credited for their time, I think is really important.
Yeah, I mean, that's the same thing I'm trying to do. I'm just relating to my own stuff, not to necessarily self-promote. I guess it is self-promoting, but whatever.
It is your stream.
I know, but I always hate promoting my own stuff. I was like, I just want to hear all you talk, but it just connects with me. Like, as a filmmaking person, part of I was talking with Aaron at the start of the stream, part of the reason that we want to do this film in this way is we want to like hire a team of mostly like trans people, queer people, people of color, women, to work on it because they don't get to have the same opportunities in filmmaking, because like the people who are able to do film are often the people who are like able to buy cameras or are able to have like a certain amount of money or background or time to devote to like writing, where other people who are more disenfranchised just don't have time. And it's a tax on time that is, I think, a lot of what prevents a lot of people money as well, but like time as well, that prevents people from getting to be able to take part in these things. So it's just how all these same systems sort of cycle into each other in the same way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't want to kill momentum, but there is a 13-month-old that is yelling for my attention, so I'm gonna have to jet. But Jessie, I'm so happy that you're doing this. This is such a cool project. I saw the trailer and I was like, this is one of the coolest things I've ever set my eyes on.
Well, before you go, I'm gonna say nice things about you, Tristan. You are amazing and sweet and lovely, and I adore you. I adore your videos, and thank you for being one of the kindest people that I've seen on here, and I think you are amazing. And yes, please, everyone in the chat, if you are not subscribed to Step Back History, you all should be subscribed, because Tristan does great videos. And yeah,
it's in the chat.
Yes,
you got no excuse.
Aww.
The link's right there. Just saying.
So.
I've been sharing everybody's links every couple minutes. So like, go.
We'll talk again real soon.
Yeah, Tristan, and I'm glad we actually got to say hi. Thank you for being here, you lovely human. So take care. Take care of your 13-month-old, and I send you love.
13-month-old. Yeah, I got it.
You know what? I'm dealing with a lot right now. All right, you don't need to embarrass me on. You know what? Get out of here. Get out of here. I don't care. No. Love you. You're wonderful. I think someone else said something.
Jeff.
Oh my god.
It's just throwing a quick call, but one of the things you were talking about with like some of the ways that the games end up, and we're talking about how the AI recognizes. Like I did a lot of MMO design for a long time. We used to have something we called the rule of 10 or the rule of zeros, which was because actually, and this goes for all games. You're right. Everything is designed in intentionally, but there's also all of the unintended consequences when you're developing hundreds, sometimes thousands of systems that all have to interact together on top of human nature. And so we had this rule we called the rule of zeros or tens, where like when we'd start testing a game, every time there was an extra 0 of people, everything would break. So like the dev team would start working, we'd invite in like 10 outside people to come test it. And they'd find things that even as a large team or small team, we never thought of. And it would happen again when we went to 100 people, to 1,000 people, to 10,000, to 100,000, to 1 million, that extra bit, somebody would do a thing that no matter how much we'd thought of and how much we'd worked our way through it, it would break a thing. It would break a balance or way people behaved or just everything. But literally every single time, you're like, cool, we solved it all at 100 people. You get 1,000 and somebody in that 1,000 would do a thing, and because they were all online communities, then everybody would know about it. And you'd button all that down and hopefully you'd be like, okay, we fixed this awful thing that we realized. But it's a really interesting thing when you're trying to develop software that's also made for entertainment purposes.
Mm-hmm.
And then that goes out to mass market with people who use it in ways you never thought of, or even that the design team didn't. Like, my most famous mistake I ever made in any video game was on EverQuest, where I was doing zone population, like basic things, setting up a zone with the NPCs in it. And we didn't have great internal communication, and I was setting up a dark elf city that they'd taken slaves in, and so it was a place you'd go from free the slaves. And we had a whole bunch of different races, one of whom were called erudites. They had not yet been decided in lore, but it was sampling going through. Erudites were the smartest of all the races, but they were also just all African-American looking descent. So we ended up with an entire room of people with the word slave over their head looking like African-Americans, because that hadn't even been decided in the lore when the initial part of the game got made. And that got corrected within like an hour once somebody discovered it. But there's all of these things that during development with a large team, you don't even think of because it isn't made yet. It's not an existing piece that gets integrated in to how things are done.
Yep.
There's 1,000 interacting things, and you can't possibly keep track of all. Even on a small dev team of like 4 or 5 developers just trying to make a small game, you get weird things. But that's really unfortunate.
I mean, that's literally what Identities, again, to talk about is it's what it's about, is like it's when the plot of the story is that people all exist in the near future. We all live in the metaverse. We all like work in the metaverse, spend most of our social time there because the world has gone to crap, in the physical world. But because of that, like, people have to exist in these spaces made by people who have certain biases. Even like, you know, the thing I'll be talking about is like certain like people in certain power, like the Elon Musk of the world, will be biased and bigoted in certain ways. But then there are people who just forget things because they aren't exposed to it or aren't aware of it. Talking about like vocabulary we were talking about earlier, and also to bring it into like gaming stuff. Which is, again, also, by the way, why, cause, like, the tagline of the thing is like, be the glitch, because it's like, we are glitches in like people who are not really seen in norm. But one of the things I talked about in my consent video that I did for GameSpot was there was this great talk at GDC from one of the writers at BioWare for I want to say Baldur's Gate. And he was talking about how they had 3 romantic options for men and 1 for women, and how they didn't even like think about the reaction from for like women being like, well, why do we not, or people who are interested in femme presenting people saying like, well, why don't you have more options for us? And the writer at BioWare literally stated, it's like, well, my first reaction was to react angrily. It's like, well, don't you understand? We only had so much time to code. We only had so much time to do this. And it's that sort of like initial reaction from people being like, well, why are you coming at me? I was just doing the best I could with the resources that I had. But then having to realize like, oh no, we had a bias because a lot of like, you know, straight men were making the game. And so thought of putting those types of romance options in the game first. And so it's an interesting sort of discussion how these sort of like games sort of showcase these biases because of the worlds we create.
That's interesting coming from BioWare, because BioWare has the largest stable of writers of any studio in the industry and some of the highest percentage of women on that.
And I think it came from that realization.
Talking about though, too. Like that was part of.
And BioWare is a big company, so like
BioWare is a big company.
Well, I think he was talking about at that time, because I think it was delivered like 2 or 3 years ago, but he was talking about way back when they made Baldur's Gate, and I think it was because
not the new one.
Yeah, so I think it like led to them doing that because they had that realization and the willingness to self-analyze, which again goes back to what we were talking about before about like the cognitive dissonance between some people, where people will either, what they'll do is they say, oh, I can't have made a mistake, so it's thereby these people are bad for telling me I did something wrong, when it's actually honest criticism, and they'll double down on the problems and blame other people. Or people will be like, no, we're having a conversation here, and we can grow and expand and be open to that conversation. And I think that's exactly, you just said, BioWare has grown to have some of the more diverse writers, and I think it's because of that like self-awareness. And even then, you could even talk further about like things that they expanded upon in like the Mass Effect games, which you know, I have Mass Effect back there. The game with that was like programming in like they added in like, you know, gay characters, lesbian characters, bisexual characters, but even in that there's biases, like the Asari alien character is like a very stereotypical sexy blue woman that gets to be like the bisexual character, which sort of like presents like bisexuality as like still very male gazy focused as well.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting sort of like constantly growing and evolving, but it takes us like being able to be self-aware and self-analyze and self-critical, which
to bring this around to art, like what we do in our work and things. And I think one of the most common failings, I would say, of YouTubers in general is a lack of willingness to engage with sensitivity readers and marginalized criticism of their work. And I think part of it is that if you're a creator that gets any sort of viewership, pretty much, you receive a lot of a very specific tone of response that it's not productive. And I think it creates a reactive tendency because you're so primed to like, everybody's fucking saying ridiculous things about me, losing it in response. And I think it's really, really important. One, when you make mistakes, because you will make mistakes. No one doesn't make. No one is perfect, and even as a trans person, as a disabled person, I've had to unpack the internalized transphobia, unpack the internalized ableism. It's an ongoing process, and it's important to engage with that. But I think often people have a knee-jerk reaction, and they engage with that emotional reaction first, rather than taking 5 days and trying to go, okay, what are they actually saying to me? Because obviously as well, and I think this gets done to the layers of tone policing that we deal with as marginalized people. When marginalized people are frustrated by something, one part of that bias is that it treats our reactions as more extreme than they are. But two, it's also just like, we should be able to emotionally respond to things that negatively impact us. And I just think about certain things that Jessie and I have dealt with since the J.K. Rowling video, for example. We're not going to talk about that stuff in depth, but just some of people's very knee-jerk emotional reactions to stuff we said there, which isn't surprising. We expected.
Not to cut you off, Aaron, but I just saw a few people are popping into the green room.
I was about to go over there.
Yeah.
Actually, I have to knock out. I also have a toddler that I need to go.
For being here.
You are. Oh, sorry, I cut you off.
It was great to see you, and I hope this all goes really well.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was great getting to talk to you and like meet you. And everyone should go subscribe to Extra Credits. I mean, everyone should probably already know you if you don't, if you know me. But you're lovely and amazing. Thank you for being here, and I really enjoyed talking to you. And thank you for all the amazing games that you made, like The Matrix Online. Sorry, you made this nerdy trans woman very happy.
Again in the future, I'd love to.
Yeah,
but see you all soon.
Great meeting you.
Yeah.
Bye, Jeff.
See ya.
By the way, has anyone seen the video recording of the last day that Matrix Online was online?
No, I didn't see
this. It's wild, I think.
It's
so I
it's
think
an
there's
emotional
memes about
video. Yeah, I mean, it's like I imagine this happens a lot with other games as well, but it's just okay.
Yeah,
it's very worth watching if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, I it's one of those, like, I actually have watched a lot of like Matrix like story stuff because I missed being able to be part of it at the time. Because again, my mom was like, you can't do online things, so don't do that. It's dangerous and scary for you. Well, like at the same time, I was like discovering my transness online and like looking up what is trans. So it's just like just interesting sort of things. But yeah, it's interesting, like communities that get built in those worlds of games like that, right? Like people like find marriages and each other in love and community within those things, which again, it just like speaks to the power of like when we build systems, people will find ways to do things that no one ever expected in it, not just within the game world, but like in our own relationships with it, which I think is so freaking cool. So
yeah, my wife met her best friend through Gaia Online of all places.
Really?
And if that had not happened, I would never have met her.
Oh, that's
so, yeah.
amazing. Oh, that's so sweet and lovely.
It is, my goodness.
Yeah. So okay, since we were talking games, favorite games. Does anyone, if everyone's gamer here? I don't know if everyone. Magic the Gathering.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I was literally just thinking about last week. It's like I should go to a Friday Night Magic because I haven't played Magic in forever because I literally spent like the entirety of my budget in college on Magic cards. It was a problem.
I did the same for a little while. Yeah. I don't have a group to play with here in Denver. I guess in Denver where I live. So I've just been playing online mostly. But I'm trying my best to manufacture a group of people, like tricking my friends into playing.
Well, I have
Dave to play.
Yes.
I would love to.
Teach Dave. I would love that if you taught Dave Magic.
I would love to learn to play Magic. I've never played. I'm like super. I feel like there's a lot of crossover between like poker and Magic in the communities.
Oh, there's so much crossover.
My comp sci department in our student lounge. I was actually the president at one point of the student society, but anyway, our student lounge, we used to just have impromptu games of Magic. What's it called? The one with 100 cards and you have a commander.
Commander
Was a very popular format because it would just basically turn into, it was less about like just winning with cards and more about like politicking around the table.
That's the best part. That's the best part.
Gather around as games got tense.
I was just doing stuff about like social deduction games. I actually just did a podcast, and I know we want to bring people into, so I don't want to talk too long. But I was talking about. I went on a podcast where we talked about like board games. I talked about how I love social deduction games because it's it, as someone who is like neurodiverse, I like seeing how people like react in certain social situations when there's like a game being played. I know we played when we were on the Nebula thing, Dan. We played you Secret Hitler, and it was just it's interesting it's interesting to watch people play Secret Hitler and like learn a lot about them. It's also like Dave, we played with Dave, and Dave loves to control the narrative because that's what he does. It's his job. Like that's what he does, and he's so good at it.
It was masterful.
Yeah.
I was like, I was very overwhelmed.
Yeah.
During that experience.
Y'all have no idea.
It got intense.
There was a VidCon where Dave bought 12 copies of the game and secretly made everyone Hitler, and nobody knew.
Really? Oh my God, that's
Jesus
evil.
Christ.
That's evil.
I wasn't in that game because I was playing Jackbox in the other room, but eventually, into the night, I just hear the entire table just explode in yelling. At a certain point, we all figured it out.
That's evil, and yet I would have loved to watch that. That is just like that's like a game show. I would watch the crap out of it.
You can only do one episode though, because after
Yeah.
everyone knows the twist.
Yeah.
But one episode.
Yeah.
Good new Nebula series.
Oh, honestly, someone should pitch.
Actually,
that.
I do think social deduction games played by Nebula creators would be fun to watch.
That would.
Oh, that would be so much fun.
Yeah.
I think Matt was talking about like doing some sort of board game thing at some point.
Oh, that would be fun.
From extra credits.
Such a hit. I mean, who would say no to that? You know, like come play a game and it's your job. I don't know.
Yeah.
I adored that Tom Scott series, the Money one. I think that's actually what got me to join Nebula years ago. We should do more stuff like that, you know?
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, I think that'd be a lot of fun. Because, I'm just like, what was it? There was the channel that I did the podcast in. I'll have to share the video out, but I'm blanking on their name. But it's they did like the history of self-seduction, about like how there's like really deep psychological stuff that goes on in those games, where it's like things that don't work in everyday life actually work in social deduction. So like taking offense and getting hurt and angry and yelling at people is actually a viable strategy that helps you, like they've done studies, helps you win more in those games. And it's like it's like it can be really messed up. And then this guy who's talking was like, I'm a psychologist and I study this stuff, and I felt bad playing the games because I would learn like little tricks where it's like asking someone like during the game, if you ask, this might be a way to cheat, but if you ask someone to help you with something, it's like, oh, can you give me a glass of water or something? Will make them feel more enamored to you and be more likely to listen to you while playing the game.
Yep.
Wow.
Favor psychology is so interesting because you think like if you ask someone for a favor, they would expect you to reciprocate, but sometimes the opposite is true, where they do you a favor and now they feel more beholden to do more favors.
Yeah, exactly. Wasn't that like, was it Benjamin Franklin? There's like famous story about Benjamin Franklin or whatever who did that, right? He's like, if I want to make friends, I always ask them if I can borrow a book from them because it makes them like feel like I owe them, or like they like me. It's like I never ask a favor of them or ask them to do me a favor. I ask them to do me a favor, not them to do a favor for me.
Wow, I never thought about that. For me, I just like what was eye-opening for me again is I'm so confrontation averse that like all of it I was trying to separate the like fun aspect of everybody like being super mad at each other with the like reality of it, and I just couldn't. It was making me very uncomfortable and anxious, but it was also like it's like my fondest one of my fondest memories of that time was playing that game.
It's fun.
It was so fun.
It's interesting too, because that was another thing they were talking. I'll have to share this video out. Chat, I'm sorry I don't have the video on hand to share with everybody, but I'll have to share that because one of the other things they talked about how social deduction games are dangerous because when we play a game, we are already sort of like making this like breaking, like this is the social contract or like the rules that we're going to adhere to play this game. But with social deduction games, they kind of play upon emotion, and you can't like fake emotion. It's like people's like, oh, I pretended to be angry. It's like, no, you chose to be angry for this time, and you are still feeling angry. And so when you finish the social deduction game, there's like actually a danger of like carrying that animosity or feeling about someone into the real world, even though we sort of have this assumption of like it's just a game.
We need social deduction game aftercare.
Yeah, exactly. Just like have like a therapist after every single session.
All right, in like 3 minutes, I'm gonna bring a batch of 4 people in.
Hell yeah!
If there's
Great.
anyone who is.
Well,
I think
I'm
we're
happy.
gonna jump off the computer at some point. So.
No, I'm so thrilled to be here, and I'm.
You're all welcome to stay.
glad to be booted.
Yeah, you're all welcome to stay. But if you want to go, well, if you want to head out, well, let's just talk about all of you real quick before we bring on new people, because I want to, like I said, I know some of you are bigger than me, but for me, the thing that I always wanted to do with this was like I didn't want to just promote my own thing. I wanted to talk with other cool people doing cool things. So I will toss it to all of you. Lily, why don't you talk about yourself, because I just want to share like. your stuff is amazing, and I adore everything that you do. And yeah, like legitimately, I watch this. I'm like, what am I doing? What am I doing? I should just like Lily take my channel because you do great stuff.
I love your stuff so much, Lily. And as a Canadian trans woman, I really appreciate like what you do with covering topics related to that, like the series you did with CBC and stuff. Yeah.
With CBC? Oh,
And
the
then
healthcare one.
the healthcare
With
one,
Western, was it? Yeah, yeah.
It's where my brain is like.
Oh, it's cool. Me too. Yeah, it's a big convo. So to talk about myself, yeah?
Yeah. Just promote yourself. Tell us what you do, and then we'll toss it to Dan and Thomas as well. So.
Sure. Well, my YouTube thing, I kind of talk about how I don't know. I kind of went into it because my first video essay like kind of blew up, went viral, and then I was like, oh, I guess this has to be my job now. This is like the first thing that I've made money on successfully.
The YouTuber.
Yeah, I mean, I was working in a kitchen, which is also very fun in its own way. I actually stole this from there, but I've kind of been like gradually finding my way. You know, these days I'm thinking like, how does technology and how does social media disrupt our relationships with each other? Like how does it change things in ways we're not necessarily acknowledging? So my next video is about TikTok like content sludge. You know, those videos where you'll get like a TV show clip and then
it's such a weird trend.
It's miserable. Oh, it breaks.
Because I want to watch the thing that's attached, but not that, but it's there anyway.
I know, eh? And I start watching these things to like review for this video that's coming out, and I'm like, this is terrible, but I watched the whole thing maybe 2 or 3 times.
I'm unfamiliar with what.
I'm too, because now I feel old. It's like, what are the kids doing on the TikToks?
TikTok does this thing, like a lot of people will post TikToks and they'll post a clip from something or an interesting thing as half the screen, and the other half of the screen will be someone playing what's that? It's that mobile running game.
Subway Surfer. Yeah.
That one's really common. And it's awful. It's the worst watching experience of anything ever.
And is this still portrait video? So like only half of the tall part of your screen?
Oh my God.
I was expecting to say like commentary or something. They're talking over it, so you just want to see the thing, but just literally just something unrelated that's just noise next to it, basically.
As many as 3 total things in the frame. Sometimes it's like Subway Surfer up here, like foam cutting video up here, and then someone talking with like background music added, so they can like reboot TV shows or whatever.
It reminds me of the old Disney Channel shows where they had the iPads, but they were like iPairs or whatever. So like the screen was like pear shaped. It's like who is making videos for that screen shape?
Yes, TikTok.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
No,
that's
a great question.
But yeah,
it's so miserable.
I want to just
I did enjoy Abigail Thorne making fun of it the other day on her TikTok. She posted one like that.
I want to make sure Dan and Thomas get a chance to just to say their stuff too. But I will say again to everybody, if you like trans and queer content, which I'm assuming if you're watching this chat you are, then you should be subscribed to Lily's channel because she makes amazing videos that are deeply emotional and really sweet and wonderful. And you are an amazing human being. So I'm glad I actually get to say hi and talk to you. So.
Yeah, like the fact that I feel like we've had this like 2-way parasocial thing going, so it's great to finally talk to you.
It's the weird thing with that, and I'm sure all of us can relate to this being like YouTube people, but it's that weird thing where it's like I have a parasocial relationship with YouTubers, then I do YouTube stuff, and now I'm like in community with other YouTubers, and it's like I feel like I know you, but I've never had a chance to actually say hi, and then it's the first time we say hi, and it's like a weird like I know you, we're colleagues, but also I have a parasocial relationship. It's a very strange feeling.
I think it's this form of bidirectional parasociality where I think, particularly because we're so aware of dealing with parasocial relationships from people, the way we approach interacting with someone we have a parasocial relationship towards is very different because and I think it's a really interesting thing where there's all this mutual respect and some degree of understanding of where that person is coming from, but there's also a knowledge that you've both seen each other's artificiality in a weird way.
Yeah, it's super weird. But yeah, Thomas and Dan, I would love to hear promote yourself. Say what you're excited about. I guess the better way to put it. What are you excited about? What are you doing? What makes you happy that you're working on?
Go for it, Dan.
Okay. Well, I don't. So I guess a couple of things I would say. One is, since we're talking about open source communities, if you want to check out, I'm involved with a nonprofit called the Processing Foundation, which maintains processing and P5JS and other things, which are these creative coding tools for beginners. And the ethos there is that we're trying to blur those lines between contributor and user. And I don't even like the word user. That's a whole other discussion. But so anyway, I'm sure you can find it through the way people find things on the internet. So the Processing Foundation is great. If you're interested in like a nice, welcoming, warm, open source community, I'm sure there's many ways we could improve. So come and join and check it out and help improve the community. And then what I'm working on now is I haven't actually released a video in like months because I've been doing a new the first videos I made were in 2012, which was like an intro coding set of videos, and I'm using this thing called processing, and I've just I'm kind of redoing that entire series, and it's about 5 or 6 hours of content. So as soon as I can get that finished, it'll be online. So if you're a total beginner and have never programmed before, that's coming for you. Maybe it's something you might be interested in.
Hell yeah.
And then you can, after that, I'll just segue into Thomas, because then once you've learned the basics, you can go over to Thomas's channel and learn how to use the Notion API and all sorts of other magical things.
That's true. Yeah, so the most recent video I did is a 2-hour video that shows you how to build a Pokedex in Notion using the API.
Okay.
It's really good.
Oh my god. Well, adding that to my wife, I have no idea how to do any of it, but I'm fascinated. Okay.
What is Notion?
So Notion is like, it's sort of like a note-taking and productivity app, but it's very customizable. It's almost like Legos in your computer. It's the Minecraft of productivity software. And I got into it just to sort of like make my YouTube process better, and then fell in love with it, and then made a whole channel on it that somehow became my entire business. So I just been making tutorials and build guides for that, and getting steadily nerdier and nerdier. And so last year, in no small part thanks to Daniel, I learned how to code in JavaScript just for fun. And then I was like, well, when the API came out, maybe I can learn to use that. So that was the biggest project that I did recently, was just learning how to build a Pokedex inside of Notion with no manual data entry, just all code.
That's so cool. And the nerdiest thing, I wish I had a friend staying with me, just visiting from San Diego until today, and I wish we'd had this day early, because she's a huge Pokemon fan, and I would have been like, ooh, you should talk, because that's amazing. But that's great. Well,
and where are you, by the way, Jesse?
I'm actually in Seattle, so Tech Bro City is its.
I love Seattle.
Seattle's it's my favorite place I've ever lived in the United States. I adore Seattle. It's it's big enough that there's a lot going on. There's a lot of really cool and diverse people here, but it's also small enough of a city that you don't feel like overwhelmed, like when I was in New York or Los Angeles, where it was like a lot happening. Don't tell Dave. Mm-hmm. Don't tell Dave I said
that. Dave knows my thoughts on New York. I come here all the time, but I can't live here. But I probably will be in Seattle later this year, so I'll let you know when I'm coming.
Yes, I will buy you a beer. I would absolutely love that, and pick your brain. I'd love to talk. Yeah, hell yeah. I see Aeronox back, so I'm assuming we're bringing people in.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, gave them the warning, so I'm gonna bring them in.
Sweet.
It's going to be very chaotic, potentially.
Love you all. Thank you.
I'm gonna hop out. I'm gonna.
All right, we'll jump.
Dan and Thomas, you were lovely. I didn't get to send you the love that I sent Lily as well, but all the love that I sent Lily, I sent both of you. You are amazing, and I adore you both. And thank you for being here, and thank you for being wonderful humans.
Thank you, Jesse. I can only do half part.
Join the call.
And Dave disappears. Bye, Dave.
Dave's final photo bomb. All right, y'all.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Room and introduce everybody that just joined.
Hi. Let's go around.
Hello.
Okay, good to see you. Let's start.
Hi. Hi.
Hi.
As
if
that's you. It's tradition.
Tradition. It has to be done.
Tradition. Okay. So I go by LK. I run a channel called Lady Night the Brave, where I talk about film theory and feelings, and currently I'm crocheting. Okay, Maggie, now you.
Perfect.
I call it the energy ball. My name is Maggie. Sorry, my cat is trying to steal my attention.
I legitimately closed my door because I know my cat Newt would literally be crawling all over everything if I let him in.
They know.
They do.
I do know. I'm a YouTuber. Oh, my internet is not stable as I see myself on my
We
TV.
can hear you okay.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
just turning
That's
it on
all
just
that
a
matters.
hair. There we go. Cool.
Okay, my skin is a lot smoother IRL. It doesn't look that pixelated.
No, it really doesn't. Can attest.
Yes, I make video essays. Just like all these fine folks.
Everyone here makes great videos and great video essays, but I want to just shout out to yours specifically because you just did #1 unrated, which is on Nebula, to hype that up, which is fantastic and I adore it. But also your tar essay you recently just did.
Oh my God, it was
so good.
Tar.
So good.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
I sent that comment, but I love that video so much. It just nails.
It's really well done.
Yeah, it nails everything it's trying to do perfectly, and in an era where people use proximity to privilege to harm other people in their marginalized groups very often, and after the last 2 months where Jessie and I have dealt with a few rounds of that from certain people,
Yes.
very
relevant. Yeah. Tale as old as time, truly, unfortunately, but
yeah.
Well, before we even talk more, I want to let Renee and Princess also introduce themselves because more people
Yeah.
are there.
Someone else catch the energy ball.
Go.
Kamehameha wave. I'm Princess. I make video essays and trying to write other stuff. I just like being Black and gay with my friends and supporting my friends doing their best things, even those who are not gay. It's okay to be straight. Is it?
We accept you. Yeah, we'll tolerate it.
You know, allies. Guess we need them for stuff. But I'm just happy to be here because I love Jessie and I want Jessie to be supported at all times. And is that a Witcher poster in the background? No,
Wait,
those are
sorry.
boobs.
Wait, what about boobs?
Mass Effect. I was like, Geralt, but I was like, but Brett.
You know, from far away, she does look like Geralt.
I mean, yeah, I'm here. I'm also here for like Geralt with boobs. I'm very much here for that.
I was like
big naturals.
Yeah,
I felt very like it's like I was like confused. I was like, it confuses me, but I want to know more. It's very Benoit Blanc.
What is this? What is this Mass Effect that you so speak of? that was my Benoit Blanc. It was terrible.
Kills me though.
Exactly. And to pass on to our handsome Jen over
Yes.
I'm Renee. I make tech videos, and then in my day job, I try to make sure that everybody else who wants to make videos can make them as successfully as possible.
And you do that really wonderfully. I've had so many chats with you, and you've been super supportive and amazing and wonderful, as everyone here is and makes really cool stuff themselves. So yes, thank you, Renee, and thank you, everybody. Legitimately, I am so excited to be on this with all of you because you're all lovely and make such cool things. And I adore you all. Also, Princess, can I just say in person, because I sent you this message, but you literally killed me the other day because I watched your video where you start off. I'm blanking on the subject because I've been on a live stream forever, but I just remember you start off with the princess hat, and you just go, I should have been wearing the, it was about like race in like monarchy, yeah. And you just had the princess hat on, and you just said, I should have been wearing this the whole video. So egg on my face, and I literally almost died when you said that.
I was legitimately angry because I have literally not one but 2 crowns just for bits like this, and I finally had a royal video to talk about, and I didn't. This is why you don't drink.
Struggle is real.
I hate when you realize, like, after you do something, after you've already shot it, you're like, I forgot this bit of the costume. Damn it!
I know.
No, I really wish I did another take of my slide-in for the Andor opening. I almost managed like the perfect. I had to edit it a little bit. The timing's better now, but like I like it's better with editing. My Andor videos. Yeah, the Andor video is going to be really, really chaotic. I was like, I had like the Rebellion logo like painted on my cheek.
Oh my god, I adore that, and I'm actually so looking forward to your Andor video because that show makes me so happy. Legitimately, yes. Oh, sorry.
yeah, I'm super excited for LK's video because basically Jessie, LK, and I have been discussing Andor stuff like nonstop since. Oh no, we lost
Maggie.
No, Maggie.
Rip. Maggie.
She'll
No.
return. The force is strong with her.
Maggie
Yeah.
shall
The live
return.
stream took her. Oh no.
Because Jessie and I have been working on our series of videos on Star Wars and politics stuff. So it's going to be really fun because LK
Super light topic.
LK,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know.
yeah, LK's video and Jessie and my video are going to be very complementary, but because we've had all these conversations, we're like not covering the same things exactly. So it's very fun.
I get to talk about.
I love when that happens.
I legitimately I was at Emerald City because Emerald City Comic Con is going on here in Seattle this weekend, and I was literally
Nice.
at Emerald City Comic Con, and I went to the artist alley, and I just went looking around, I was like, where is my boy Diego Luna? I just like found I may have bought like 5 pieces of art with Diego
Oh
Luna
my god,
on it.
there was not enough Cassian fan art after Rogue One, and I'm just like, oh my god, I do need to go to a convention now. There would be Cassian fan art.
I have to send you guys the picture of me at a table with Guillermo del Toro and Diego Luna now.
I'm sorry.
No.
I'm sorry. Princess.
It's amazing, and
I'm jealous. Get out of my stream now. You're not allowed.
Wow. I was about to say, I literally about to say, wow, kicking me out during Black History Month, but I thought it was March.
I'm just. I bet Diego Luna is really nice. I bet Diego Luna was really nice. That's all. I just think he's neat, and I would definitely not ask him about Yaba.
But as a side note with Guillermo, I learned the wildest thing this week because of TikTok, which is that Guillermo's troll animated show has canon MPreg.
Yeah,
Oh my
I do.
God.
Can I just
Well, he understands the culture.
Guillermo is a monster fucker at heart, like to a degree that no one else
Again,
has ever managed. to
remember this from Shape of Water. Like, I can't do the exact sign that she does. I don't know how she did that.
Yeah, I can't.
Guillermo wants an alien to give him babies, and that's wild, but good for you.
Also, speaking of monster fuckers, oh no, we lost Maggie. We got Maggie back for a second.
Oh no!
We lost her.
Like somehow Maggie has returned.
But Princess, I may have bought.
Some jokes in our Star Wars video.
Princess,
Maggie, you're back.
Are you back, Maggie?
Please.
No.
Hopefully Maggie's back. We'll see. But
the force is strong. I believe in her.
The opening crawl for the animated bit that starts the Star Wars video is I'm just gonna read that. Chat deserves to have a little teaser of what happens when Jessie and I collaborate.
I want to see this.
Okay. I'll actually just send you the script after the stream because you're welcome to read the entire thing.
Also, if Maggie comes on, we have a part that I rewrote for Maggie in the animated section, and
nice.
The if she's here, I'll tell her. I don't know if she can hear me or not, but the direction I'm going to give her to play the character is constantly turned on fascist lady. Is the direction.
Bellatrix Lestrange.
And I love that that's when Maggie's face is now frozen when I say that.
Oh no!
You see what you did?
Yeah.
You see what you did?
Also, sorry, Renee. I'm sorry. You're like deer in the headlights as we're talking about like Star Wars and stuff.
No. I love this stuff. I live for this stuff. I just wasn't smart enough to make a channel about this stuff. It turns out, and I'm rethinking all my life choices.
You should. I think you can pivot at this point. I think that's the move. You just make a
side channel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah, no, I've been really enjoying coming up with alternative names for Cyril Karn, and I think my favorite so far is the man who would invent a new slur just for you.
Slur for you is definitely a fragrance, you know, like it's so
and it's what he wears. Also, wearer of the world's worst necktie. You remember those neckties that they're wearing?
Oh my god, yeah.
Terrible.
Yes.
Oh no, and I just realized Slur for You is absolutely a Coco Chanel fragrance.
I'm sorry, no!
So this is me at a table with.
Oh my god!
Oh my god!
Oh my god!
Oh
That's
my god.
so,
We
I'm
all breathe
so
the same
jealous.
oxygen.
I'm so
Is he nice?
jealous.
What did you say?
We were. It was about the animated series. It was really cool. They were super kind and fun. The room was so small and stuffy. I was like, I like that I get to have like an intimate moment with Guillermo del Toro and Diego Luna. But I'm also just like, they deserve better than that.
This room is not good enough for them.
I joined in the middle of something. Hi.
You did also, Lady Emily. Hello.
Hi, it's great to be here. It's great to talk to y'all.
Yes, it's great to have you here. Well, thank you for coming on and sending you love.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
We follow each other on Tumblr now, don't we?
We do, yes.
I love that people are back on Tumblr again. It's been fun.
Oh, I never left.
It's the best site.
Look, I was never a Tumblr kid, but LK forced me to join.
I
Tumblr.
indoctrinated her.
Yes.
I taught her all about the EBDB and the blogos.
LK regularly just will like do things, and then when I respond to that stuff or do the thing afterwards, she's like, "I like what I've done to you. I'm proud of myself."
Okay, like here's the thing, because like for the longest time I didn't use Tumblr. I was always like a Reddit person. I had a Tumblr, but it was just for like, I don't know, looking up Joker images when I ran a Joker fan page.
And then Lady Emily's not like other girls.
Yeah,
that is some dark lore we just learned. It's dark lore.
It gets darker, it gets deeper. But anyway, like 2020 comes, and Sarah's like, yeah, Sarah, who I write for, Sarah's Ed, was like, hey, do you want to work on a video about the John Locke conspiracy with me about BBC Sherlock? And I'm like, sure, yeah, because I like work. Thank you. And then I was like, well, fuck, now I have to figure out how Tumblr works.
Oh,
So I had to log on
It's
to Tumblr.
essential. It's essential.
And like that was
to
my
know.
first, it was my first dive into Tumblr culture of like, literally, this is my job. I have to look up BBC Sherlock stuff. And then I just stayed.
Does anyone understand how Tumblr works? I don't think.
Yeah.
That's the magic.
No.
Yes.
I've
been there since the dark ages.
I love how there's a light on your eyes.
Just do not quote them to me.
Yeah, do not quote the dark magics. I was there when they were made.
Were you born in the dark? You were born in the darkness, and we all merely adopted it.
You were born in the dark. I was born in the Tumblr age.
I literally have been on there since 2010. Like
the Super Hulag fandom literally made me not get interested in any of those shows. The only reason I watched Doctor Who is because I knew there was a guaranteed black person on it. So I was like, all right, I'll watch this. But so far, but everything else, I was like, I don't know.
I was really into Doctor Who. So I was like, I should get into the rest of Super Hulock, because it's like I had technically watched Supernatural, but it was like when it first aired and I was like 8 and it scared me, so I was like, I'm not gonna keep doing that. And then I was like, well, I'll get into the Locke part of Super Hulock. I started watching Sherlock. I was like, this is the worst show on earth, and then I didn't watch past season 1.
I really liked Sherlock. I really liked it for a while.
I was Team Elementary, baby.
Oh no, Elementary is genuinely really good.
Yeah. Every time I hear about Elementary, I'm like, everything about that sounds perfection.
No, it's
I
really
remember
fun. It's
when
really fun.
Sherlock was releasing, and like to be fair, I'm the little baby child of this call because everybody else is. But
You don't know Lady Emily's age.
Like everyone else is old as balls. You can say it.
No, it's fine. My bones are turning into
Calling
dust.
you Hope in the theaters.
Oh man, the original Tumblr.
Everyone was talking about how amazing Sherlock is and it's the best thing ever or whatever, and I finally, so I went and watched it, and I couldn't stand from like episode 2 onward.
I was really into it. I'd seen some gifs of some scenes, and I was really
Maggie. I just love how you just keep popping in and you're just like, hi, I'm here.
But
we have like 2 inches of rain, and our internet has not worked since about a week ago.
You're in LA, right? Yeah.
Gotta love
Yep.
Verizon.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like any rain. Yep.
Oh, trust me, my window started leaking with the rain. It was really great. I slept on a couch for several days because I didn't want to get dripped on from the rain, and my entire windowsill was just like all towels. They're still fixing it.
Peek behind the curtain here on my end. So I'm in Seattle though, but my pipes, my sink overflowed yesterday. And I noticed before the stream that there's a little leak of water coming into my kitchen, and I'm like, I have to go do a stream. So legitimately, as soon as the stream's done, I'm like, I'm gonna go out and hope my whole kitchen isn't flooded. It shouldn't be too bad. I just know I'm like, I hope it didn't keep going.
Maybe throw down some towels.
Yeah, it's just all the towels.
Meanwhile, in New York, my biggest struggle is gentrification. So I'm sorry to all you guys on the West Side.
Really, you don't understand the struggle of leaky pipes.
Single tier.
Yeah, it was minus 42 here last weekend, so all our water's frozen.
Oh no!
You still live in Saskatchewan, which regularly during the winter is the coldest place on this planet, and several other.
Oh no.
We had tornadoes the other night, so that was my thing.
Oh my god!
I got Sonic. I played D&D, and then I looked outside. I was like, "Wow, it's really cloudy." And then I like checked my phone. It's like, "Oh, there's tornadoes outside." Okay.
I do not miss living in hurricane country.
I guess the wind was agreeing with you that gotta go fast.
And now we kick Aaron out. Sorry, you can't do that. You can't forget the wow of the guitar from that theme song.
Also, my chaos does increase exponentially if LK is near me.
Yeah. I mentioned being in the Joker fandom. I forgot that I have my Baby Yoda Joker plush sitting behind me.
That's what that is?
That is
I
the-
saw that it was
please,
Baby
Kara.
Yoda, but I couldn't understand what he was wearing.
Oh god. No.
Oh my god. I'm gonna pretend that it is it's the Joker from the Harley Quinn show that has a nice Dominican wife and a thriving family
Best
career.
Joker.
I love the Harley Quinn show. It's
Like-
got problems. It's got problems, but like
It does have problems. I've read
It
about the
has
Jewish
problems.
character stuff that I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
that's not great.
Yeah, I was actually at a panel. Some of you may know. Do you know Grace Moore? She does Women at Warp. She's a good friend of mine. She has the Women at Warp podcast.
I've listened to some women at Warp. I just don't remember everybody's names.
The only reason I bring it up is like she did a panel at ECC Thursday that was about Jewish representation in like comic books, and like half the panel was about like complicated feels on Harley Quinn. And I was like, this is amazing. So.
Yeah.
That's so valid.
Yeah.
Literally, Emily and I have our chats are like, "Have you seen the new Harley Quinn?" We don't even tweet. I just discourse with my friend. I text my friend. I'm like, "So you see this episode?"
I just
like,
adore that
we
the
met-
latest episode is just like Bane having sex with all of the buildings. and Harley trying to give the episode is literally like Harley's quest to give Harley's quest to give Ivy the best orgasm, and then Bane turns giant. Yeah, but it turns into giving her the best orgasm. And then Bane becomes giant and starts having sex with buildings. Yeah. This stream isn't getting monetized at all.
Can I make money on YouTube, Jessie?
I need to talk about. So my brother hadn't watched like most of Harley Quinn before. 1, 2, we were hanging out high, and I was just like, we were trying to find something funny to watch in the background. So I was like, screw it, we'll throw on Harley Quinn. I know this show. I haven't seen this episode though. We'll see what it's like. Watching that episode while I'm with my younger brother was a weird experience. He's an adult for context, but like we were both just like.
That's like when I saw the Red Wedding episode with my mom, and it was really funny. Well, no, my mom's incredible, so it was mostly just like by the third sex scene, we were just looking at each other like, man, again.
My family watched the entirety of Game of Thrones together.
Same. I watched it with my grandma.
There was just that section where you just be like, and everybody's pretending they're not watching the show.
It was. Oh no! I was just. I started watching Sopranos with my dad at age 10.
Oh no!
That's incredible.
He was just like, yeah, you can see all of this. Just whenever they're in the strip club, turn your head. Just don't look.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay.
Yeah. That was how my mom showed me Chicago. She just had me turn around for like most of the opening scene.
It's like
my dad showed me like 300 when I was like 5 or 6, and just skipped that scene. So I legitimately didn't know there were any sex scenes in that film until I was like.
How nice for you!
And I think it was actually I watched Maggie's video. It was having this moment of like, there's a sex scene in the film.
You might not know this, but we used to have sex in movies. Like it was so I was having my girlfriend. She's never been into the MCU, thank God. But we're watching it together because I want her to be poisoned. And we're watching the first Iron Man. I'm like, oh yeah, Tony fucks.
It really has gotten weirdly sanitized to some degree, which people should. I haven't gotten to watch it yet, but I know Maggie's serious.
I was literally about. I wish there was someone who was making videos about sex and like naughty things in movies and TV.
Yes. Yeah, we just did or we're finishing up the episode on Stephanie Rothman. She was a director of the 70s, a sexploitation director. And it was the only work she could get as a woman. And she was one of the only women to go to USC. But she was, making these like sexy movies where women don't have shirts throughout most of it. But she, had a very strong political views. And she like infused all of her sexy movies with like, very leftist leaning
politics.
Politics.
We love that.
It's great. Yeah,
it's amazing. We stand.
I love
that. The video I'd love to make if I actually talked to Maggie about this over DMs a while ago. The video I'd love to make if I didn't have like any restrictions of YouTube to deal with is a video about how the Wachowskis shoot sex scenes.
Oh my god!
Because as an ace person, sex scenes range from I'm mildly uncomfortable to just like, why is this on screen?
But like with Wachowskis, you're like, there's choreography. There's cinematography.
Legitimately, I think the orgy scenes in Sense8, I think, are some of like the best choreographed and shot sex scenes.
They're very well shot.
But they're so pretty.
Mad because it's like, it's this thing of I feel like a lot of movies they just put in a sex scene for hornt and nothing else, and like. And
if you don't experience porn, there's nothing there.
But sex is so integral to human beings, and it can tell you so much about who they are and what they're doing, their relationship to the other character, and all these other things. You can do amazing things with sex scenes, and I just find that like most directors don't. And like, I remember watching Bound for the first time with another friend of mine who's also sex averse ace. I want to be clear: there are ace people who have sex. There are ace people that are not sex averse. Like aces. It's
also its own
spectrum. Yeah, spectrum, and asexuality primarily refers to attraction, not to action. But people should go watch David J. Bradley's videos about asexuality. There, I'm just gonna let David handle it for me.
I will say, like The Last of Us. Sorry, I cut you off because you were talking about Bound. So I'll say. I was just gonna mention what I loved about the recent like Last of Us episode was like the sex scene between the two guys, Frank and Bill, in I think episode 3, because it was like Bill just being like, I don't know what's happening. Can you help me? And Frank being like, oh, I got you. We'll figure this out. We'll do this slowly. It was so
nice.
gentle and sweet and not like, oh, let's have two dudes fuck and like shot.
There was like a moment early on where I was like, am I gonna have to see Ron Swanson's penis? And then he didn't show it, and I was so grateful for that.
Listen, what do you have against the body that a breakfast builds? Okay, a beautiful breakfast body.
Listen, being ace just means I don't want to see any of their bits. I think men are very handsome with their pants on.
Well, it's interesting because my partner, she is also ace, but she is on the opposite spectrum of that. So she's very sex positive. But at the same time, her whole thing is that she finds the chemistry to be the whole thing. She's like, I don't like these people, so I just don't care. And like, recently for my movie night, we were watching Love and Basketball, and they have a sex scene, and I'm just like, and I'm just like, the intimacy, and like, there's intimacy, there's consent, there's a condom. They're like, they pause so he can put on protection. Yeah, he's checking in all the time. And this is back when PG-13 movies could give you a little bit of titty, like a little bit of nipple on the side, and it's just like, yeah, it's like. This is a PG-13 movie, so just like look,
a teat as a treat, yeah.
Yes, and I'm just like, I miss that.
Both of those examples are telling you things about the characters. They are part of the storytelling. It's like you can do so much storytelling with hornt, with purpose. It's like
you're just able to talk normally. I'm stuck on teat as a treat.
I was proud of that. I was proud of it, but I'm glad someone got it.
Yeah, this is the benefit of being a David Lynch fan, because I think besides Mulholland Drive, I don't think there's any sex scene that's like pleasuring in any of his work. Every time one happens, it's like, oh, this is wrong.
I love David Lynch, the person.
I love
Have you seen
David Lynch video? It's so good. Anyway.
Yes,
really good.
Yes, the Twin Peaks videos are so good. Have you seen the clip of David Lynch directing children?
It's the best thing ever.
Yes, it's really
Please
good.
cry. Please cry. Make your noise. Make your noise. Just scream like you're at a concert.
Okay, and I have a set of videos we watch when we're sad and want to like cheer each other up. And one of them is just him trying to direct this kid, and it's the funniest thing. Where he's like, Arlo, can you be sad for me, buddy? Can you do a cry for me? Do a cry for me. Come on,
Make
buddy.
your noise.
Just make
Make
your
your
noise.
noise.
Just make your noise. And it's the funniest thing I have ever seen.
But he never yells at him because he's a good.
He's not
He's
bad.
a good
He
dude.
just doesn't know how to deal with a kid, and it's the cutest thing.
I love the bonus features for Twin Peaks: The Return, because it's like half that and half just him yelling at producers, like, I don't want to keep this fucking fly swatter scene in here. Why are you telling me no?
Yeah, I can't do this with these limitations.
Like, there's one point where they pull up the Red Room scene off of YouTube so they can get a reference point for what it looks like, and they're just looking at it on their phone, and I'm like, yeah, congrats whoever uploaded that.
Right. I've only ever seen the first season and The Fire Walks With Me, and it's like, which is like, yeah.
I did this. I did it in a weird way where I watched Twin Peaks because of Maggie's videos. Because I watched Maggie, I watched her videos, then started watching it, and
I
I'll get to
watch it because of those videos.
I got to the middle.
That's why I did it too. Yeah.
But it's like
I know that creamed corn means suffering. That's what I know.
Yeah.
I learned that from a podcast.
I get to like the point of the middle of season 2. You're like, people are like off, like doing weird things. There's like a lot of like, oh, there's like they're just gonna talk about the Civil War for a long time. I'm just like, I don't understand. Like, there's like, what's happening?
It gets really bad.
Yeah, middle of season 2, rough. It turns it around, but oh boy.
Yeah, it's a really bad stretch of episodes.
Weird production stuff during that period of time.
Yeah,
so that's when David Lynch left for a while, right?
Yeah, that's when like Lynch and Frost were mad about having to solve the mystery. So like, fine, we'll just do our own thing and we'll work on our own stuff.
How dare
And then-
you make us do plot? We don't want to do plot.
Meanwhile, Riverdale is like, we've never done a plot since the first season.
Oh my god, have you
What
seen
is
the
this
clip
plot
that's
you're speaking of?
floating around?
Riverdale does every single plot simultaneously, no matter how incoherent they are.
There is a clip that's floating around Tumblr that I think is from whatever the current season is, where like Archie's explaining the show Riverdale to what's his face, Hat Man,
Jughead.
Yeah, and Jughead, and yeah, him.
I wear this hat,
and with his hat, and Archie's explaining that he's God.
Oh my god. Okay. I got it. Okay.
The weirdest version of Akira I've ever seen.
In case you haven't noticed, I'm weird. I'm a weirdo. I don't fit in, and I don't want to fit in.
You should be wearing a hat.
See
for
me
this.
without this stupid hat on? Oh wait, 1 second. I have.
Oh my god.
For the
Oh my
verisimilitude, I require a hat.
It's a little damaged because Killian sat on it one day.
Oh my god, this is a perfect hat.
That is amazing. I love that you just have that within
That's
like
the Hatter
hand reach.
hat. That's from the Alice video.
Oh my god.
I'm weird. I'm a weirdo. I don't fit in. I don't want to fit in. Have you ever seen me without the stupid hat on? That's weird.
Oh my god.
I love
Season
that
1
you
had
have
so
the
much
Hatter
promise,
hat.
though. I was so upset. I was so upset.
Like
Because
season 1 felt like one of those rough seasons that could turn into a good show if given the time. And then season 2 happened.
Yeah. Well, the best part is that the entire lead up to it, because as somebody who's been reading Archie comics since I was in diapers, essentially, like, there's always been speculation that Jughead was either gay and then eventually like Ace. Him being Ace is a new development, like roughly like since the 2010s, essentially. And when the thing got adapted, Sprouse was like, I can't wait for like asexual Jughead. It's gonna be great. And then it was like, nah, you fucking Betty. And I was just like, what?
No! They just make him not Ace. They didn't even make him Ace in the accidental way that the old comics did. they made him aggressively horny.
And then it just gets to the
having
point,
sex.
and then it just gets to the point where an entire season becomes about a plot line where they think Jughead might have died because Cole Sprouse didn't want to stand shirtless and half naked in the cold one night, so they just he just
Not
didn't
mad
show
at it.
up. He just didn't show up, and then they just ended up creating this whole plot line about what happened to Jughead, and it's like nothing. Cole Sprouse just didn't want to show up that day. He just didn't want to be naked for a night.
Valid. I wish women could
So
do that.
valid. So valid.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Keep thinking about the hat.
Now I should just be playing. I should play Ace Jughead as a purely drag king look. Like,
I am here for that, and
Save
I can
that
do
up
it.
for a video one of these days.
Do it. We should do it alongside my George Lucas drag king, and just do it together.
The George Lucas drag king look is so
kids haven't
good.
seen it. For layer 2 of if you want to understand what I mean by layer 2, you can go read the first third of the script on my Patreon. Anyway, I'm trying to be better about like self-promoting. I hate doing it. It makes my skin crawl. Anyway.
I definitely understand.
I mean, Lady Emily from @LadyEmilyPresents on YouTube, also hate self-promoting.
Why at Lady Emily? You hate self-promoting at Lady Emily?
Oh well, at Lady Emily, I really just don't really like doing it on my YouTube page at LadyEmilyPresents.com. On my Twitter at Great Cheshire on Twitter.com. That gets a little bit
Great
better.
Cheshire on Tumblr as well.
On Tumblr as well. That's where the more fun stuff happens because
yeah, it is.
That's where all the fun
like,
stuff
I said the plug and I was just like, I hate myself, right? Like, which is it's okay to.
I also have a Patreon at Lady Night the Brave.
Everyone here is a Patreon, and everyone here is an amazing creator, and everyone should chat. You should if you like this high energy girl geek conversation where I feel bad for poor Renee who's sitting here.
Sitting here being quiet.
He's being the best human being.
I'm learning so much media literacy.
He is celebrating International Women's Day. Like, why don't you understand?
Oh yes. But yeah, if everyone should be subscribed to everyone here. So I just.
Oh my god, that Deadpool joke was a really good joke.
That was my favorite montage in that first Deadpool movie. Is all of them having sex during the holidays. I was like, I really do love this. I do love these kids.
Yeah. I hate that they fridged Marina Baccarin's character.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Because it's a fucking crime because her on-screen chemistry with Ryan Reynolds was fucking 10 out of 10. The character's really interesting and like there's so much more they could have done with her. And I think what they really should have done, like I like how I have a lot of issues with Deadpool 2, but I do like that part of it is about his grief and stuff. And I was like, I think it would be cool if you end this timeline plot with Deadpool explicitly calling out the fridging and undoing. And I thought that was where they were going to take it.
It was.
They just didn't.
Yeah.
It's very funny. The opening credits are like, wow, you didn't expect that. This was so unexpected to kill.
Like you mean one of the most common tropes that came from comics? Whoa.
Yeah. The worst part is that like because I was covering it at the
Lantern?
Mary Sue. They were all like, we had no idea this was a trope. I was like, motherfucker, of course you knew it was a trope. Your whole gag is riffing off of comic book stuff. I'm like, that's ridiculous.
Considering the fact that like Ryan Reynolds himself played Green Lantern and the trope comes from not Hal Jordan, but from Green Lantern. Like, come on.
But sis, you know nobody care about Green Lantern though.
Okay.
Unless it's John Stewart, no one cared.
I was legitimately about to say John Stewart. I am here for John Stewart. But yeah, I also
no
like
one care about Hal
the name of the character.
Yes.
Side note.
Okay, because I was
not John Stewart. No.
You say this, but after I did my Harley and Ivy video,
I want to shout someone out that's in the chat. Amazing internationally acclaimed author Chuck Tingle. You're fucking awesome.
Oh my god!
Holy Tingle!
Speaking.
Holy crap!
Oh my
Tingle, I love your work, Buckaroo.
Chuck, you're great. Love your stuff.
Something to show you. I'll be right back.
John's.
John Stewart is great. Also, Chuck, love you. But also, like when I hear the new DC like pitch where they're like, we're gonna have a Green Lantern show and it's gonna be cops in space, and I'm like, I don't. Okay.
Yeah.
Yay!
Yeah. Why? I hate every day that every day I wake up and I'm a DC stan. I'm just like, why God?
Why do you hurt
make
me?
different? Why can't you? That's the one thing I'm like, I don't like. I still want to be black. I still want to be queer. I still don't mind being working class. But can you just make me a Marvel fan in the next lifetime? Because I cannot deal with this anymore.
The MCU is as full of cops as anybody else's. That's very good.
But at least y'all have good movies.
Yeah.
Do
yeah, you have
Okay,
fine.
You have
movies.
enough.
Here's the
You
thing.
have
Here's the
enough.
thing.
We have some good movies.
I like the Batman, and that's.
Well, the thing about it too, I'm not even a Batman girly either. So it's like, and also like the one good thing they had going for them was the Arrowverse, and they were like, you know what,
Yeah.
we're done with that too. And I'm just like, so
And
really,
they just handled the Arrowverse so hard in places. Sorry, I was really into the Flash show because I've always liked the Flash as a character because Flash at baseline just always reads a little bit trans for some reason. I don't know why. Which is funny because then they made a canonically non-binary Flash that was like a member of the mainline Justice League for a while there. It was great. It was like because the Justice League they had this whole weird. DC's weird.
DC is just
like,
weird.
Yeah.
But there's this jump forward period of time, and so they had like a future Justice League, and yeah, the Flash on that was canonically non-binary and black,
Oh, yeah.
and was
Yeah.
actually well written and wasn't like a mishandled mess of.
Y'all are talking about suffering. I'm a Batgirl fan. I have
Oh.
never known
So much pain.
peace in my
You've never
life.
known peace. Except, well, I would argue that the two. Have you ever seen the Birds of Prey TV show?
No, but I
I've seen
want
clips
to.
from it. I've never watched the whole thing.
Listen, it has the best live action Batgirl, I'll tell you that much. And listen, it's a historical document. And I saw it as it aired. So I remember when it aired with Tattoo, all the things she said at the ending battle sequence. Okay?
Oh
So
my
next time you watch it, just erase that other audio and put Tattoo in it. And it's great. It's honestly yeah.
I love that song. Iconically lesbian song. But anyway.
Sorry about that detraction. I just went
No. But I want to talk about Batgirl for 2 seconds with like one, fuck David Zaslav, and two,
Yes, yeah.
that film was fucking canceled because of the three primary cast being a trans woman, a mixed race lead character, and the villain being played by a guy who called out sexual assault in Hollywood. Like if you look into it and then you just look at what Zaslav was saying, but they kept the fucking Flash movie with Ezra Miller, who is going around assaulting people.
Yep.
I think I was talking about this with Jessie. I felt like it was like a monkey paw of like, we want studios to stand behind non-binary actors. And then it was like, all right.
We got you.
You don't get to pick it.
And it curls. Yeah. And it's at the point I think Vera who was on earlier in the stream did a really good video on this where it's at the point where it's like, you know, I am glad that Ezra is now like getting help and everything, and I feel bad. It's like I want to see my Batman in that Flash movie, but I don't want to support it.
Yeah.
Not even just because of like Ezra Miller, but it's just like I don't want that movie to do well because I know they'll be like, let's bring Ezra Miller back, and I was like, I just think it's better for it's healthier for everybody, not even like a punish somebody, like it's health for everybody, not support that movie.
Yeah.
That's another thing for me where it's like Michael Keaton.
Yeah,
I'm here for Michael Keaton Batman. And you cancel my Batgirl with him in it.
Yeah, Monkey's Paw. It's like, oh great, Michael Keaton's coming back. Great. What 2 movies is he gonna be in?
I know. It's so it grinds my gears in like the truest meaning of the term. It's so upsetting.
Don't forget that we're getting Supergirl in it too.
I know, and it's a hot Twinkie Supergirl without haircut and a great bodysuit.
I'm so mad.
I cannot win. It's like so I'm just gonna have to rewatch Birds of Prey for 6 times, so it's fine.
Yeah. Well, I don't mean to. This has been amazing.
Okay, sorry.
No. I just hit a lull. I actually, because I have to go film my Drag King George Lucas part. But legitimately, I want to just say to wrap out the stream as we head out, all of you are amazing, and I adore and love every single one of you. You all make amazing videos, and honestly, I'm just inspired by all of you because you're all just like really cool.
Yeah.
I am honored that you are all here, and I am honored that you're all doing stuff, and I'm excited to see what all of you make, and thank you.
We're excited to see what you make.
Yeah, we're gonna do stuff.
We love you, Jessie.
What Jessie and I are doing right now because the Star Wars video
I'm
The
so.
Star Wars. Oh yeah, I was gonna read the jokey opening.
Oh,
crawl
please
thing.
read the jokey opening
Oh my
crawl, and then
God,
we'll wrap
okay.
up. But I was also.
So we like Jessie and I were sitting there trying to work on this opening crawl thing, and we realized that there's a tendency with Star Wars films, not all of them, to have a single word, all caps and exclamation point. So Jessie just wrote this word, and then was like, "Aaron, I'll go read the thing," and I was like, "Okay," I open it up. Fuck.
It's just the text crawl where it's just like, fuck.
It's a period of unrest. The lackluster New Republic is gone, and somehow the fiendish empire's returned as the New Order. There's confusion everywhere.
Period.
It's fun.
But yeah, that video is gonna be really fun. I'm doing like an entire animated short film, basically.
It's
it's
gonna be fun. I was saying earlier, Maggie. I don't know if you. I asked you to be a voice in it. And yeah, my direction to you to give those lines is gonna be just turned on fascist lady.
That's what I was made for, man.
I give you the good roles.
LK is gonna be playing Mon Mothma for it as well.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
Yeah, and I get.
That's right. I'll just do my deep lady voice.
Yes. It's gonna be
Amazing.
Yeah.
But also, Jessie, we're excited for your short film.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel bad. I know this is like a stream to promote me, but it's just like I just wanted to use it more to promote other people because you all are amazing and I adore you all.
You deserve everything, and every time somebody
jessiegender.
fucks with you, it makes me want to just go full Targaryen, because that's a phrase I can still use, because I don't appreciate it. It's like literally, it's like the bells go off, and I'm like, you know what?
Yeah.
Fuck King's Landing.
Jill
I never liked it anyway.
Burn it all. Oh, I adore
Here's
you,
the
Princess.
thing.
And I will say, Princess,
Daenerys
legitimate.
burning King's Landing was wrong, but also was
Was
burning
it,
King's
though?
Landing that wrong?
Was it? Literally every time we see King's Landing, they're assaulting my girl Sansa, me throwing poop at Cersei, and just being terrible. So I say, all's well that ends well.
I will say this, because I will not accept the kind compliments. My brain won't let me. But I will say this. I want to say thank you to legitimately every single person here, because during all the nonsense that has happened throughout the past few months, like each of you have checked in with me to like see how I was doing, and you've been amazing and supportive and kind, and I hope that I am able to do that back to all of you and return it double fold, because you've all been super sweet, super wonderful, and I legitimately mean it. I am honored to be in community with all of you, and thank you for doing this. And I want to turn it back since we're ending the stream. I'm sorry we haven't focused a lot on the chat as much, but everyone in the chat, legitimately, thank you to all of you. I'm sure I speak for everyone here that like communities like yours and the things that you give all of us are just wonderful, and we could not do the things that we do without all of you, because you support us and you let us do cool things like our work in my short film. I still can't even think that that's a thing that's going to happen. Sorry, I'm rambling. Yes. I adore you all. I love you all. And like legitimately just thank you to everybody here for being wonderful and amazing. I love you all.
We love you.
Love you.
Yeah.
I'm not as good. Normally I'm much more eloquent,
Jessie.
but I am
Right?
I'm telling you this. I'll keep telling
I'm
you.
Jewish. I get to
Take
do
the
it.
wins. Take the wins.
I know.
Yeah, take the fucking win.
Well, I appreciate
Honestly, you deserve it.
Yeah.
When you become the 16th doctor and the first American doctor, you need to remember
Oh
how
my
to
God.
be humble.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
it's an investment for us, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Payouts down the line.
We need you to listen. We need you to help us.
Jessie is the captain of her own Star Trek ship for a show.
Yes. Oh my God.
Don't even kid about that. That's my dream. That's my dream.
I want that to happen. and I
Just
wanna
don't
be your-
fuck a
I wanna be your science
Kardashian.
officer. I should be your science officer.
It'll just be our Kardashian like sex show the entire time. That's basically my pitch to
all you're gonna do is like Bashir and Garrett just corner
it'll be over there.
all
Oh
over
my
this
God.
thing.
Oh my God. And then you get to check in with Garrick and Bashir kissing. They're just in the background of all your seats kissing.
Every scene just has Garrick and Bashir in the background.
Just Alex Kurtzman. I know you're listening to this. That's my pitch.
Yes.
Actually, I have the weirdest pitch for a Star Trek show, but it would just be Garrick and Bashir like sitcom basically, where you set it like you could have them live on DS9 if you want or not, but but they're
it could just
living
be them
somewhere,
with
and
Cardassia helping with the Reformation shit or whatever.
Yeah, exactly, or something like that. And so it's like you have a little bit of like Bashir fish out of water stuff you could do, but also just like Garrett can't turn off his need to spy on everybody, so he's just constantly being weird to all of the neighbors.
Two things. I'm gonna give you my. I'm giving you my weird niche Star Trek stuff. You got me on this right here. If you love Garshir stuff, Alexander Siddig and Andrew Robinson did fan fiction. Yeah,
no, that's what I want that show to start with.
Exactly. They did fan fiction reading of them being together, and they perform it together, and it is so good. So cute. And they get Quark, like Armin Shimmerman comes on playing Quark, and also Sherlock Lofton playing Jake Sisko comes on like being a reporter. It is
wasn't Nana Visitor in one of them?
I think yeah, Nana Visitor was also in that too. It's so good. And then two, you should also read Una McCormick's books, because number one, she writes about like recovering from fascist societies really well. Like Una McCormick, one of my favorite authors of all time, and people don't know enough about her because she writes Star Trek books, which are all great and people should read them. But literally half of her books are literally just like Bashir and Garrick like trying to like express their love for each other in like all of those books, and it's wonderful.
Oh, that's so good.
So
that sounds adorable.
You got me on my hyperfixation right at the end here.
No.
I know.
So how do we close this out?
Peace, bye, end stream. That's how it goes. No, I will say this. I will end this out. Everybody, go subscribe to all of these wonderful people here on the stream. To everybody watching the stream, I know people have come in and out as the stream has gone on. Thank you to everybody who watched this, who supports my channel, who supports all of these lovely people's channel. Could not do it without you. I'm excited to make Identities with Aaron and with many other people and try to promote like community and people and you exactly, and like all the stuff we're doing. So thank you everybody. I adore y'all. Thank you everybody here for doing this and for being here. I'm gonna end the stream, but I'm not gonna dismiss all of you because it'll still go on for a second. So love to everybody. Thank you for watching the stream. Take care of yourselves. Send love to each other, and I'll see you all.